Is the opposition at loss on issues after Budget 2023? Arnab debates at 10 p.m.
I think this is the blueprint for India for the future, and it is something that I think is going to propel the economy into a phenomenal position going forward.
The fundamental theme here is that if you invest money in infrastructure, it will create employment. So you have a lot more room for spending capital expenditure in a productive manner, which will bring India into the modern world.
I think we are all very excited as individual beneficiaries of the budget. I think the reduction in tax rates will also improve discretionary spends on healthcare.
Biggest voices, biggest coverage, perfect budget.
Pakistani Neta admits we sowed seeds of terrorism. Pakistan admits to breeding terror after Peshawar blast. Has Pakistan been stung by the terrorists it bred? Arnab debates at 10:30 p.m.
So I think this is a remarkable budget for a new India. Vast number of improvements on the tax regime will lead to a completely new consumption story of India.
I think overall it's a very solid, stable, prudent and responsible budget. It's also a growth-oriented budget.
The way I would look at it would be to the support, for example, being given to the states. So for me, that's a very positive and big step forward, not just the continued focus, but also the increased outlay being made for that.
Biggest voices, biggest coverage, perfect budget.
Has today's budget silenced all critics? Is there anything to criticize in Budget 2023? Was the final full budget the perfect budget? Arnab debates at 9 p.m.
I think there are many aspects of the budget which will certainly help create employment.
It's not just about capital expenditure by the private sector. It's about ensuring growth, ensuring jobs, and making sure that the journey is one which is totally tied to the country's own growth.
मुझे लग रहा है कि ओवरऑल हर पहलू का ध्यान रखा गया है, हर तबके को नज़र में रख के ये बनाया गया है. ये बजट जो है भारत को एक अच्छा ग्रोथ दिलाएगा.
Good evening and welcome. Now, why am I calling this a perfect budget? Actually, there's nothing that is ever perfect, is there? But this one is as good as perfect, I think. The fact is, the government is not supporting the Revdi freebie culture at all. It has raised tax collection over the last 1 year in a really solid way. They have cut corporate tax last year and raised the amount of money earned, ladies and gentlemen, considerably. Over the last 1 year, they have considerably raised the money earned by the government in taxes, and in turn they have invested that money into the country, and they are going to invest that money more and more into the country, and in doing so they are investing in real infrastructure. Not a little bit. They're going to be investing a huge 10 lakh crores in the next 1 year. 10 lakh crores. That's a massive amount of investment that is going into the country. That investment goes to build roads, railways, ports, airports. It creates the logistics for a developed country. Now, this means broadly that Narendra Modi is acting and promising, not just promising, acting every day to turn India into a developed country. If this works, then in 5 to 10 years, my estimate is the whole country will be totally transformed. North to south, east to west. India will be unrecognizable. And I say that is the right thing to do. That is the right way to go. You can keep giving subsidies, you can keep increasing subsidies, you can keep giving dole out after dole out, but that goes into thin air. Times are changing. The IMF says that India and China will contribute 50% to global growth next 1 year. We are in present terms going to double the economy of the country in the next 7 years or less, I think less, which means that each one of us, each one of you watching this show tonight will witness and is already witnessing a national transformation. And the magical thing is that while doing so, in the budget today, Narendra Modi has given the middle class a fairly good bonanza, totally well deserved on personal taxes, personal income taxes. And that is why I'm calling this budget a hashtag perfect budget. Sticking my neck out tonight, I'm calling this a perfect budget because I think this is as perfect as it can be. And ladies and gentlemen, it's such a perfect budget, the opposition parties couldn't do their news conferences, their usual criticism also, they couldn't really articulate. They were so stunned by that. And I personally also feel that the way things are going on the economic front is the stage set for 2024 for Narendra Modi's return for a third term, given the way the economy is flowering. And final debate tonight, little detour from the budget. The big admission by Pakistan that it was breeding terrorists and it's having to pay for it. That's a little towards the end of the show, and here are the headlines this budget day evening, this Wednesday evening on the debate tonight.
2014 की तुलना में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में निवेश पर 400% से ज्यादा की वृद्धि की गई है.
The last full budget, and a perfect one, has been delivered. From experts to analysts to the common man, the middle class, everyone is calling this the hashtag perfect budget.
I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakh in the new tax regime. Thus,
massive tax swaps for the middle class, more money in every pocket, every section of society has been addressed.
Honorable Speaker, sir, the capital investment outlay is being increased steeply for the third year in a row by 33% to 10 lakh crores.
Highest ever capital expenditure allocated in the budget 2023. That's almost 3.3% of GDP being invested back directly in the nation. At the same time, fiscal deficit is at 5.9%, fiscal prudence, and everyone's happy. Does the perfect budget give way for a 2024 comeback? The usual critics of the government are confused this time in their criticism as the perfect budget leaves them in a bind this year. So let's take an overview, ladies and gentlemen. It was a strategically and astutely balanced budget that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented today. In her shortest budget address, less than an hour and a half, she delivered on capital infrastructure spending as well as income tax slab changes for the middle class. And it was all done without compromising on fiscal prudence and the 5.9% fiscal deficit target, which will go down in aggregate terms over the next couple of years. So has this economically sound, welfare-oriented and future-looking hashtag perfect budget left the critics really without an answer, grasping at the seams? Take a look and then we shall debate.
The last full budget of the Modi government has rolled out.
this is the first budget in Amrit Kal. This budget hopes to build on the foundation laid in the previous budget and the blueprint drawn for India at 100.
The backbone of the budget was the 10 trillion rupee capex spend bound to spur growth.
Honorable Speaker, sir, the capital investment outlay is being increased steeply for the third year in a row by 33% to 10 lakh crores, which would be which would be 3.3% of GDP. This will almost be 3 times the outlay made in 2019-20.
It's a phenomenal increase in capital expenditure.
एस्पिरेशनल भारत आज रोड, रेल, मेट्रो, पोर्ट, वाटरवे हर क्षेत्र में आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहता है। नेक्स्ट जनरेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए। 2014 की तुलना में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में निवेश पर 400% से ज्यादा की वृद्धि की गई है। इस बार इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए का अभूतपूर्व इन्वेस्टमेंट भारत के विकास को नई ऊर्जा और तेज गति देगा।
On the 80th minute of her 87-minute address, the finance minister announced a big bonanza for the middle class.
I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakh in the new tax regime. Thus, persons in the new tax regime with income up to 7 lakhs will not have to pay any tax at all. The second proposal relates to middle class individuals. I had introduced in the year 2020 the new personal income tax regime with 6 income slabs starting from 2.5 lakh. I propose to change the tax structure in this regime by reducing the number of slabs to 5 and increasing the tax exemption limit to 3 lakhs.
The finance ministry may have loosened the purse strings, but not without balancing fiscal prudence.
The fiscal deficit is estimated to be 5.9% of the GDP. In my budget speech for 21-22, I had announced that we plan to continue the path of fiscal consolidation, reaching a fiscal deficit of below 4.5% by 2025-26 with a fairly steady decline over the period. We have adhered to this path, and I reiterate my intention to bring the fiscal deficit below 4.5% of GDP by 2025-26.
It was a budget that stunned critics into silence.
I am a believer in a low tax regime, so any tax cuts is welcome because giving more money in the hands of the people, in my opinion, is the best way to boost the economy.
And grappling to poke holes in the budget.
The budget speech of the Honourable Finance Minister show how far this government is removed from the people and their concerns about life, livelihood. The FM has not mentioned the words unemployment, poverty, inequality or equity anywhere in her speech. Mercifully, she has mentioned the word poor twice in her speech. I'm sure the people of India will take note of who are in the concerns of the government and who are not.
The Modi government may have just achieved an absolute balance with a perfect budget. Let's debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, on our budget panel today with me here in the studio is Ajay Bagga, not just one of India's foremost market experts, I think one of the most experienced and vocal people on macroeconomics. Ajay, great to have you with me in the studio. There's Sanju Verma of the BJP, taking on Atul Anjan, National Secretary of the Communist Party of India, Professor Manojit Mandal of the Trinamool Congress, Pawan Verma, former Member of Parliament of the Rajya Sabha, Sohail Seth, who is dressed up specially on the occasion, only and only for Republic. Look at the way he's dressed up today. He spent the last 3 hours dressing up for the 9 p.m. show today. Amazing, Sohail. Amazing. And we have Mohandas Pai. Mohandas Pai, Chairman of Aaron Capital Partners, needs no introduction. And of course, we have Sanjeev Sanyal with us, member of the Economic Advisory Council to the...
Completely red-faced. I don't know why.
Who is red-faced?
Please smile.
Who's red-faced?
Suhelda. He's not smiling. Now he's smiling.
Suhelda is red-faced. No, that's all right. He's going to leave you red-faced in a minute. Sanjeev Sanyal.
It's my color. It's the color of my complexion.
Yeah. Okay. New
it's
narcissist.
the color of my complexion.
Now, if we have discussed complexions enough, Sanjeev Sanyal, I think this is as perfect as could be. But is there any optical illusion in this in your view? Because it's just looking too perfect. 5.9%, 10 lakh crore capital investment, middle classes getting, after 9 years, getting big relief, increase in defense spending. Is there a catch somewhere to all this? Seems too good to be true, Sanjeev.
Not at all. There's no catch. There's no catch in there at all. The numbers are absolutely clear. The reason you're able to reduce the fiscal deficit and increase this huge amount of spending is very simple. You've had a very good run on revenue growth. So all the reforms that were done, GST, all the other simplification of the taxes and so on. And so when you have revenue buoyancy, you're able to go out there and do both fiscal consolidation and spend more. Secondly, and importantly, as you point out, there has been a radical change in the mix. So you've gone from spending on revenue type things and reveries, so to speak, and you're spending on infrastructure, which again has multiplier effects in terms of creating jobs, momentum, and of course leaves you with valuable assets. And finally, of course, what was done with for the middle class as well is again not merely about providing some relief for them in terms of the slabs, but importantly a structural shift away to a simpler tax system where an incentive has been provided. You move to a simpler system and we'll provide you an incentive to move to it. So overall, this is not an illusion of any kind. What is being done is, in some ways, it is common sense. Spend more on infrastructure, simplify the tax system, and do some fiscal consolidation.
Now the thing with you, Sanjeev, is, and you work closely advising the Prime Minister in economics, you're making it look remarkably simple. If it was so simple, Mohandas Pai, why was it not done before? And when you were nodding left to right, I don't know whether you are agreeing with him or disagreeing.
Arnab, I agree with him that all the reforms have increased taxes. For example, the budget figure for taxes 27.7 lakh crores. They have come to 30.3. I think is an underestimate. We probably will collect 1 lakh crore more because corporate tax and income tax next till January 7 was about 19% more than the budget. I think the underestimated taxes. Next year too, we'll collect more than the 33 lakh crores. We could go to 34 lakh crores at 10.5%. So the spending on infrastructure is very good. Tax reform, the reforms earlier have given rise to taxes. But this idea that the middle class has got some big benefit, I don't agree with it. Next year, we are going to pay 9 lakh crores of income tax. The tax so-called giveaway is 35,000 crores as per their estimate. I think 35,000 crores is not going to make any difference to the economy or to people. Now, 5 tax slabs from 6 tax slabs is not tax reform. We need 3 tax slabs. So it becomes very simple. For people above 55 who pay high taxes, this is no benefit at all. In fact, you'll remember that one revenue secretary said that only 1 crore people pay the bulk of income taxes. So for the 1 crore people who pay the bulk of income taxes, the tax benefit is very less because inflation next year is going to be 4.5%.
But maybe they are phasing it out.
7%. If you have a 10 lakh income, you're poorer by 60,000 rupees. Yeah. On top of the next year, you'll be poorer by another 40,000 rupees. So what they're giving you is a very small amount of money, which doesn't make much difference to the bulk of taxpayers. For people at 5 to 7 lakhs, it looks fabulous. Oh, I don't have to pay tax. If they want to increase the slab, why don't they say instead of the tax rebate, up to 7 lakhs, don't pay any tax?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
And Arnab, I want to point out one thing
a champion.
Should answer. That is, tax disputes have gone up from 4.5 lakh crores to 12.5 lakh crores as per the budget from 2014 till now. Jaitley promised us a stop to tax terrorism. We have not seen a stop to tax terrorism. Yes, there's been a great improvement in assessment. Refunds are coming faster. That Viva scheme has done well. But the disputes have only gone up. This government has given more power to the tax official than the previous government in the last many years. tax arrangements are increased, tax rates are going on. I wish they do tax reforms much better.
Okay.
I like the budget. I think it's a great budget for India. It has helped the poor of this country like nowhere else. No prime ministers in India's history has done as much for the poor as Prime Minister Modi has done since 2014. And that is why I think he'll come back to power in 2024. But for the middle class on tax, income tax, the harassment is very high. For example, look at the balance sheet of any corporate. You'll find that there are huge tax disputes. Why have tax disputes not been settled? We need a better tax system, and been waiting for about 9 years, and they promised in the first manifesto in 2014.
Agreed.
Stop tax terrorism. It's not happened.
No, agreed. But I totally echo your views, Mohan.
When I met a former
Mohan, I thoroughly agree with you. I thoroughly agree with you, but Monojit thinks you moved over to his side. You must clarify you haven't.
Thrown this side.
No, Monojit thinks you moved over to his side. You must clarify you haven't.
No, I'm being honest. Arnab, I have to be honest, Arnab. The budget is a good budget.
Yeah.
But middle class getting a relief, I don't agree.
Agreed. Let me set up the debate. Monojit, wait. Monojit, wait. I'm coming to the political debate in a minute. I'm going to get a word in from Ajay and Sohail, and then I'll come to the political debate. I've got full and adequate time. And as you know, I'm becoming more and more patient with every passing evening. Now, Ajay Bhagat, what I said is...
I did not know that Sohail Bhai is absolutely apolitical.
My question to Ajay is...
I did not know.
My question to Ajay is, don't worry about Monojit, Ajay. He's going to continue to distract you. He's trained to do this. Ajay, 9 years back when the Prime Minister took office, in June 2014, he said in July 2014 that the people of the country must be prepared for some bitter medicine. Now we see those numbers on the screen right now, Ajay. You're seeing those tax slabs, and the middle classes are saying, oh, we're finally getting something. And of course, Mohandas Pai thinks I'm being over-exultant because he's right. We should get more. There should be more bonanza, but for that, people have to be more disciplined. People have to be more compliant. Now, my question to you is not that. My question to you is whether this is looking perfect because it is the product of 9 years of systemic reforms, social change, economic change, tough decisions, DEMO, GST, UPI, and a lot of other things which we're not factoring in when we look at, we're taking this for granted. Like this was supposed to happen. Isn't it the result of a lot of hard work and planning?
No, it is. It is. And Arnab, I'll take you back a little more. 1990, when Indian reforms were just starting off, 91, we were on par with China.
Yeah, we were.
In terms of GDP.
Yep.
And today, China is 5.4 times us.
Yep.
Even though we are the fifth biggest country, economy, on nominal basis, third biggest on purchasing power. This is the opportunity. I meet a lot of foreign investors on a weekly basis. What they are saying is you have the opportunity, you have the population, you have the resources, lay down the infrastructure, lay down the access. And that is what this budget is doing. Out of 45 lakh crores, you are spending 10 lakh crores on infrastructure. You are not giving political gimmickry. Even though the elections are 400 days away, I think it's a courageous budget.
Yes.
It is a balanced budget.
Yeah.
It is a prudential budget. She has reduced the fiscal deficit from 6.4 to 5.9. And in a deglobalizing world where friendshoring is happening, it's a huge opportunity for us to catch the supply chains in the world. The PLI schemes, if you look at, the favorite example is of cell phones, where we were importing billions of dollars of cell phones. Now, not only are we supplying within India, we are exporting out 90,000 crores worth of cell phones. Now, we are not still value adding, we are not making the chips. That will happen over the next 5 years. But at least the roads, the highways are being laid for that India to really do what China did in the 90s through the 2000s. I think that's the opportunity.
And that requires strategic thinking, Ajay.
Yes, and courage. This is political courage. Easiest thing would have been 300 units of electricity to everybody, no bills for the next 1 year, and no income tax. And you would have won the elections. They're not doing that. This is a lot of political courage.
It's such a relevant word you used there, Ajay, and with all the politicians present, Sohail, where have we disappeared? Yeah, there's Sohail. Political courage is the word. I think he stole our thoughts. We spoke about it all morning, didn't we, Sohail? Political courage. You're 400 days from an election and there's not an increase in subsidy. There's no free thing going on. And there's solid investment in the country. So he's dealing politics and economics completely.
See, the day you mix politics with economics and you sacrifice the economic future of a country, you aren't a responsible politician. You're a populist politician, and you're a politician who's basically an opportunist. Narendra Modi has time and again shown that he's not an opportunist politician qua the economy. A. B. Today, the perfect budget is what? You know, Mohandas Pai, a very dear friend of mine and yours, he's an exacting man. He's a man of exactitude.
Yeah.
Mohandas Pai can find fault in the perfect storm because his intellectual capacity is way beyond yours and mine. And I grant Mohandas Pai this, that, okay, it isn't the bonanza it seemed to be. But the point is, we're not looking for bonanzas. We're looking for responsible economic prudence, policy, all of that. A. B. If you see, and Ajay very rightly alluded to it, you could have easily turned the other way and made it a populist budget.
Absolutely.
And you could have justified it to your cadres, you could have justified it to your party, and you could have justified it to the states that are under you, saying, we are going into elections, so I have to do this. Narendra Modi didn't have to do this because he didn't want to do it. The tragedy is, prime ministers in our country have normally toed the path that has been told to them to toe. Narendra Modi has realized that he has a country to run, and a country which will go beyond 2024 and certainly beyond 2029. When that is your mindset, then you're more responsible, because you're also worried about the legacy you leave. You don't want to be seen as a prime minister who came, galloped right through, and created mayhem for future generations. So I think it's a great budget. I think it's a responsible budget. And credit must be given to Nirmala Sitharaman. When she took office, when she took charge, no one believed that she would be the finance minister she's become. And she's been an outstanding finance minister. Responsible, empathetic, graceful, without a word of irresponsible behavior. And she steered this budget, and she stayed the course. We don't want flip-flops.
No.
Flip-flops are what you wear on a beach, not what you do in a budget.
I have Ajay, I must now get in Atul Anjan and Pawan Verma and Monojit Mandal and Sanju. And I want to tell anyone, I have no intention to exclude any of our political guests. Just that I thought I'd begin with the non-political guests and then take the discussion forward. You see, Mr. Anjan, I really like you. And I have liked you for a long time, for over a decade, in fact 2 decades, for 2 decades. You know, I started my reporting career, Pawan Verma taking Atul Anjan sound bites. So he shouts at me, threatens to walk away, but he comes back because, you know, we go back a long way. Now, Mr. Anjan, why could you not do this? I'm asking you sincerely, not that you've been out of government. You've been part of UPA 1. You've been part of national formations. Mr. Anjan, why could you not invest in the country? Why could you not invest in infrastructure? Why could you not increase tax compliance? You know, you can say everything bad about Modi, but look at the way tax compliance, tax discipline, no populism, no freebies. Mr. Anjan, it's time to think. What are you thinking about? Please reply. Please reply, Mr. Anjan.
Mr. Arnab, you have raised many questions. You have given much time to people to speak on. And those you have said, they are not political people. They were non-political people.
Yes, yes.
The non-political people were talking about the economic politics, political economics.
Yes.
That's the very fantastic idea. Without politics, any economy can run. There is a politics, whether it is right or wrong.
Yes.
Economy has to take the side of its own people. Which side? Which is on priority? Well, in this budget, you will be having a lot of people, those have already spoken that never in the history such type of budget has come.
Yeah.
But I just want to tell you, if you come, I'll just be in brief, and I'll just tell you one thing. If you see, compare with the 2020 and 23 budget, total agriculture and allied sector, we spent 1,51,521 crores. And 2023-24, it is only 1,44,214 crores, a reduced by 5%. I am just talking about the rural India, which constitutes about 78% of population. Agriculture and allied as total budget, 3.84%. It's now, in 23-24, it is only 3.20%, reduced drastically. If you go through the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, 15,500 crore in 22-23, it is 13,625, reduced by 12%. And if you go PM Kisan Yojana, 68,000 crores, now it has come to 60,000, reduced by 13%. If you Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, 10,430, it has come to 7,150, reduced by 31%. I am not going to give you more about things. Many other is there, but you can understand. One thing you can understand. We are talking about the poor people. This budget is under the cloud of the 2022 farmers movement.
Yeah.
750 farmers laid down their life on the outskirts of
according to
Parliament,
whom?
And lakhs and crores.
According to whom?
What is there? What is there in
this 750 number is according to whom?
You want to play with the life of the people? No. You are playing with the life. You don't understand. Every day you count it. No. Why? What is this? All that people have laid down their life, and you are trying to make the joke out of that. No government has challenged that one. No government has challenged.
Even it's central not worth responding
to. Discussed with Amit Shah ji and other people, they said yes, we agree. We know it. And then one thing I tell you, you are talking about. You have not talked about unemployment. You have said that 2 crore people every year. Now 9 years. What is the matter? 18 crore. Where is job? And if you see Manrega, once the Prime Minister said in the Parliament, it is a Himalayan blunder. It is a monument of blunder. And now during this period, what they said, during COVID period, Manrega has saved the life of the people. And now what you are doing? Less 33
Mr. Anjan,
allocation for Manrega.
Mr. Anjan,
food subsidy has cut down by 90,000 crores. And the fertilizer subsidy has come down to, if you have not intervened others, you are intervening me, I am keeping mum. Okay.
No, I didn't. You don't have to. You don't do that, Mr. Anjan. See, no, that's bad. You always do this.
No, you don't.
I am not intervening. This is wrong.
I am very humbly presenting.
I am very humbly asking you.
I am very humbly, you see.
I am very humbly, you see. I am asking you something, Mr. Anjan.
If you don't, why you? No. There are 4 people who spoke. You never intervened. You intervened.
No, because they ended quickly. But I want to ask you.
I can leave. I am not speaking.
No. Don't take a Monvrat.
Let me finish my word.
No. You see the problem with
when I finish, you just go through my all records. And then you see, then you tell me.
I have just 30 seconds, sir.
Despite devastation caused by the pandemic.
Sir, I need to ask you a counter, please. And Sanju wants to respond to you. And then Pawan Verma has not spoken and Monojit has not spoken. So I will not speak. Can I just hand it over to them to speak? Mr. Anjan, you are a gifted man. You're wonderful with words. But the problem is, you're also long with your sentences. Give me a moment, please. My question is, I'm not meant to provoke you.
No.
मैं ऐसी बात नहीं है. आप हमारे पे गलत आरोप मत लगाइए. ये क्या कर रहे हैं अतुल अंजान जी? आप इतने वरिष्ठ नेता हैं, ऐसा मत कीजिए. ऐसा मत. मैं तो कुछ बोलूंगा ही नहीं आज.
नहीं, आप क्यों बोल? हम तो बोल रहे. आप क्यों? This is the way to disturb. Okay, you continue.
Thank you. Mr. Anjan, I don't respond to what I'm going to say, but I'll just tell you that there is one state, one last remaining state which is under your rule, which is Kerala, where there is an unprecedented, unsolvable financial crisis where the state is unable to achieve the revenue deficit, and you are blaming the center.
Go and demolish in the name of democracy.
What demolish? You can't even manage the economics of a state.
Go and demolish it.
Are you jealous of the way the center is running the economy?
I'm putting it before you.
Okay, Sanju Verma, please respond.
No. What do you
Arnab, I don't wish to be heckled because I have not spoken and heckled anybody on the panel. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Ranjan made some
you are correct.
pertinent points. Yeah, Mr. Ranjan made some pertinent points. Now, sir, with due respect to you, let me rebut some of the charges made by you. First, let's understand that this has been the most pro-farmer friendly government in post-independent India. And I'll just give a couple of statistics to corroborate my point. More than 2 lakh crore has been given via PM Kisan Yojana to more than 11.4 crore farmers. Despite 7 states opting out of the PM Fasal Bima Yojana, the total number of beneficiaries under this scheme are more than 6.5 crore farmers, where the premium paid by them is between 1 to 1.5% on an average. Under the PM Matsya Yojana, the allocation is 25,000 crore to give the requisite boost to fisheries. Agri Infra Investment Scheme has a corpus of 20,000 crore to improve back-end logistics, because very often farmer has the produce, he has the market to sell it to, he has the counterparty with whom he can get a good price for his product, but the back-end logistics are not in place. And I think by putting in place back-end logistics, the Modi government has done more than what many would give it credit for. More importantly, I think we need to understand this, that if you look at the MSP for wheat and paddy, we all know that while there are about 21 to 23 odd crops/food items that come under the purview of MSP, more than 68% of the MSP payout goes to just 2.
No, I get what's the broader point you're making. If you can make your broader point, which I'll get Pawan Verma to respond to. Yeah.
I'm coming to that. Just give me 30 seconds. The point I'm coming to is this, because MSP has been at the center of a massive controversy over the last 2.5, 3 odd years, saying Modi government has not been giving, decent MSP to farmers. Let me tell you, if you just look at the figures of MSP payouts on wheat, on paddy, and on pulses, it is 16.
Okay, I take your point. I take your point. I take your point. I'll get Pawan Verma to respond because Piyush Goyal is sitting live. Sanju, I'll get Pawan Verma to respond.
You have a very bad problem. You heckle me.
No, I'm not heckling anyone. I'm just getting Pawan Verma to respond so I can go to Piyush Goyal next. It's very difficult, you see. It's very difficult, Sanju. I have a very difficult job. I have the most difficult job around. Please allow me. Please allow me. Anyway, Piyush Goyal has a bad throat. Also, I'm told, and he's waiting. Pawan Verma, please. Pawan Verma, the point she's making, I think you understood the larger point. And before I go to Piyush Goyal, just get a quick rebut from you on that the element of balance in this budget, at least in the numbers, is remarkable. Your thoughts?
Arnab, since the time is short, I'll sum it up quickly. First of all, I have some degree of affection and respect for Nirmala Sitharaman ji. We were colleagues in Parliament, and on general, I think her sincere and intent is good. And there are many things in the budget with which I agree. Very quickly, even though not enough, some relief for the middle class, the beleaguered middle class. Tourism in mission mode, long awaited. 9% to the GDP it contributes.
Incredible.
Minimum requirements, it's a very good move. Very good move. PM Awas Yojana, I support it. The investment in infrastructure, I support. The massive investment in railways, the largest employer in the country, I support. The efforts finally, 9 years later, on skilling on a serious basis, if it's implemented, I support. And the fiscal prudence that the finance minister promises to keep, to reduce the fiscal deficit to 5.9% is something I support. Now, there are 2 or 3 quick points, and maybe Piyush will comment on that. I feel there are 2 sectors which have been neglected in this budget, which touch the quality of lives of people. One is education, and the other is health. As always, and I believe it's totally inadequate, only 2.1% of the budget has been spent on health. And as far as education is concerned, you have visited, Arnab, the basic schools across the countryside, and you know their condition. India has to invest in its human resource. These children are not getting an education. And therefore I was surprised that the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, which is the keystone of the government to improve primary education, you have increased the budget from 37,983 crores to 37,450 crores. If you take into account inflation, it means you have given less to something which is a foundational program for the Republic, which is Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan.
Now,
there is one other, just give me another 20 seconds and I'll finish quickly.
Yeah.
The second thing is, I think that the government's capacity to spend its capex is in question, because 7,500 crores was the capex in the last budget.
I heard
it has
that.
not been spent. I hope the government does enough.
I heard that.
For the
I heard that.
economy to
I
absorb
heard
it.
Chidambaram also
And
say that earlier. So I want, if you don't mind, I want to go straight to Piyush. I'm going to come back to you in just a minute. He heard both your comments earlier. So Piyush Goyal, thanks. You know, I personally believe opposition pretty much ran out of arguments, but the core argument, I mean, besides the points just heard, which Chidambaram has been going around saying, he says, you know, very good, but they will never be able to spend this money. We don't have a capacity. I challenge the government will not be able to spend 10 lakh crores. Yeah. I'd like your response to that, please. Can you hear me?
Arnab, I feel sad that Mr. Chidambaram doesn't have the confidence in the people of India and the businesses in India. But I can assure you and your viewers through you that the current year budget is also well on its way to being spent. There will obviously be some glitches off and on. A lot of it is historical legacy, like land not having been acquired on time for projects that have been going on for long, and small things like that are sometimes causing delays. But I can assure you that every one of us is extremely committed to spending that money. In fact, every month reviews are done at every minister's level and also at higher levels at the finance ministry to ensure that actual spending happens. I think Mr. Chidambaram sadly remembers his days when I remember in every year, by September, October, they would cut some budgets. By December, they would say, don't spend beyond 60% of the money. And by March, they would be probably run out of money. Whereas our government has always under-promised and over-performed. So on revenue, we are very conservative. Year after year, we exceed the revenue, except that one COVID year, which obviously everybody understands. So our effort and approach is strengthen the country, and in that we are also focused on strengthening our capacity to spend. Investors are coming in, our young boys and girls are being skilled to do more work, better quality work. PLI schemes are helping create domestic production capacity, which will help us meet the needs of infrastructure and capex spending, but also help us export goods and services. So I think the country really is creating a foundation for the Amrit Kal, and this budget is going to play a huge role in setting the direction in which India is going to go forward.
I also think traditional thinking is pretty much extinct right now, Mr. Piyush Goyal, you know, because you've completely bucked the trend of freebies. I'd like your thoughts on that, because I'm sure within political parties there's always this thought, you know, that, you know, we could just hand over. And this is a very different budget, even with the way it was being read, the tone and tonality of it. It was not a this for you, this for there, little bit for everyone, everywhere approach. I think that was completely missing. What do you think? Even that, there's no effort to even make it symbolically this for you, that kind of budget. Very business-like, I thought.
Arnab, you know, I appreciate your saying that, and we must compliment Finance Minister Mrs. Sitharaman for her matter-of-fact and business-like approach. I can only share with you that I've been now in government with the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi for several years. Not once and I repeat, not once, has he taken a decision or allowed or encouraged us to take a decision, keeping one or the other election in mind. I remember in 14 and in 19, both times, soon after the election, he would call his whole team together and he would say, elections are over. People have reposed faith in us. Now it's our job to take care of the country.
Yeah.
Now it's not whose government, which people voted for you, didn't vote for you. 120 crores then 130 crores. They are your people. Without any discrimination, you have to serve every part of India. And in that, he always asks us to focus on the Northeast, Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Leh, on states which have remained over the years neglected, like Eastern Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand. So we are a government that's very sensitive to the needs of the common man. And Prime Minister Modi ensures that all our programs and projects are in national interest or in the interest of the people of India, not focus on any election. Elections will come and go. He believes that the people of India know best, and they are very smart. They know what is good for them in the long run.
Well, I think also some people commented that the BJP is so sure of winning the 24 elections, it's not trying to do hard to do anything, especially in the budget for that. That may be a cynical way, but that's what people have been saying.
No, Arnab. I'm sorry, Arnab. I would like to contest that. Prime Minister Modi also keeps guiding us.
Yes.
Never become arrogant. And never become overconfident.
Absolutely.
So you will see sometimes we are criticized for putting in too much effort in an election. But he believes that it's our duty.
That's right.
Come election time, it's our duty because we have to go back to the people.
No, I think it's good.
With our report card.
I think there's a clear delinking, Piyush Goyal.
To them to
no, I think it's a clear delinking. Clear delinking, which I think is very healthy and not seen before. Well, thank you very much, Piyush Goyal. Delighted to have you, and also very delighted to have with us today. Thank you, Piyush Goyal. Thank you so much. And joining me now is the Union Minister for Railways, Communications, Electronics and Information Technology, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav. Mr. Vaishnav, you know, you got so many portfolios. I first must begin by thanking you for finding time for us today, because one question I've always asked you when I met you, how do you manage railways, communication, electronics, IT and all that? Straight to the point, Mr. Vaishnav, a capital outlay of 2.4 lakh crores has been provided for the railways, which is the highest ever outlay. Can you just give us a sense of how this matches with the Prime Minister's vision of a Viksit Bharat?
Absolutely, Arnab. And if you see the last 8 years, railways has totally transformed on multiple dimensions. Stations are better today, much more cleaner, trains are running on time, lot more amenities, lot more passenger facilities. Many things have changed. The one number which I would like to present here, 10 years back, the amount of railway tracks that we were installing every day, that was just about 4 kilometers a day. Just about 4 kilometers a day. Today, that number is 12 kilometers a day. So that's a significant big jump which has been possible only because of the reforms that Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has done in railways. And today's budget allocation will go a long way in fulfilling the infrastructure deficit which railways has had over decades, and that deficit can be made up only by adding more new capacity, changing the entire railway stations, having new type of trains, a total transformation which you have seen over last many years, and this will be accelerated in a very big way.
Now, when you hear Chidambaram say this budget is nothing for the poor, it provides no jobs, Manrega has seen a slash of allocations, how would you respond? You know, your government says this is the Amrit Kal budget. There's a whole difference in approach, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav. It seems there is no meeting of minds here. Chidambaram says no, it won't give jobs, there should have been more subsidies, and he also says that he will not be able to spend the money. Chidambaram has been going around everywhere saying the government will not be able to spend the money in building the infrastructure.
Mr. Chidambaram should see the track record of this government. Whatever has been promised has been delivered. More has been delivered than what has been promised, right? One. Second, he has been a finance minister. He should understand that Manrega is a demand-driven scheme. So whatever allocations we make today are nominal in that sense. If there is more demand, immediately at the RE stage, it's very much possible to have more allocation. Third, employment, if you look at the global scenario, the pandemic hit all of us very bad. Despite this pandemic, the policies that Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji took, those choices have brought India, it is today recognized as a bright spot in otherwise dark horizon. Contrast this with Mr. Chidambaram's track record, where because of the policy paralysis, he brought the country from a healthy, robust, developing, good emerging economy to a fragile 5 economy, right? Contrast the fragile 5 with a bright spot in a dark horizon. That's what Mr. Chidambaram should contemplate, should introspect, think, and reply to the people.
Well, and of course, the Prime Minister is a hard taskmaster, as he told me last time when we met at the Republic Economics Summit. Ashwini Vaishnav, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. You know, the tone of sincerity in your voice. So when you speak to ministers like Piyush Goyal, Ashwini Vaishnav, you know, you get a sense, you see, thank you first of all, Mr. Vaishnav, look forward to seeing you again. You see, Manojit, that's the way the government is working. What more do I tell you? It doesn't fit your usual paradigm. When Ajay and I were listening in the studio, it doesn't fit your usual paradigm. You can't box it in. You can't box it in. You should also work like this in Bengal, in the Bengal government. Serve the people of Bengal better.
No, I really don't know why you are exulting so much about a budget which is remarkable in terms of generating unemployment. Has not addressed the issue of...
It has only made the opposition unemployed today.
Has not addressed the issue of the poor farmer. I'll tell you, what is this? 50 minutes से तो बैठा हूँ, इतना confident हो तो क्यों बोलने नहीं देते हो? बोलने तो दो, 50 seconds. I think one of the speakers in the beginning also picked up the holes in the idea of how you are trying to do something for the middle class people. I mean, ultimately, if you mind you, it is for the new tax regime. The rebate, the exemption is given for the new tax regime, not for the older one. Why you get exemption because of building your houses or making savings in LIC or some other schemes. You are not going to get benefit for that particular regime.
I'm not understanding anything of what you're saying.
Made it twice clear for the new tax regime.
What are you saying?
Again, you will not understand because this point has not been picked up. Forget about how you have reduced the money for Manrega. Last year also, you have reduced the money for Manrega, for the poor. You are talking about the benefit for the middle class. I am saying it is only for the new tax regime, not for the old regime.
But you are also in the new tax regime. What are you talking? Which regime are you in?
Your houses.
Sorry, I'm getting very confused listening to you, Monojit. Someone stop us. 1 second.
You are getting confused. There are two.
Okay. We'll have to take it into a debate form now, please. Okay. Listen, Sanju, 30 seconds. Then I go to Ajay Bagga because I don't understand this, Sanju. What do you say?
I'm asking this question. Please address this issue. You are talking about the new tax regime, not the old tax regime. Both are applicable. I can go for the old tax regime as well. I am in the old tax regime. I'm saying on TV, I am in the old tax regime where I get benefit
Okay, may I come in?
certain savings and building my houses. Why you don't get in the new
I don't want to heckle him.
And please ask the person who is advising the Prime Minister why the benefit of the exemption up to 7 lakh is given to the old tax regime.
Okay, I think Sanjeev wants to respond. Sanjeev should be allowed to respond once before Sanju you come in. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So first of all, he's raised the issue of why the amount of money has been reduced for Manrega. Let me clearly state that it is demand-driven safety net. If somebody wants more money, it will be allocated. It's an automatic process. The reason the number has been reduced is because the economy has recovered, the number of people turning up for Manrega jobs has gone down. If for whatever reason, supposing we have another round of COVID and lockdown and the number goes up, the amount will be, allocation will go up further. But Surely, as the economy revives and the amount of economic pressures go down, the allocation for something like a Manrega demand-driven safety net should be reduced. It's a reasonable thing to do. So I don't know why there should be a debate.
I don't understand. Now, Sanju.
Let me leave that aside.
Okay.
Now, Sanju. Now, Sanju.
As far as the new tax regime and old tax regime is concerned.
But you have delivered.
No. Let me answer the point about the new tax regime and old tax regime.
We have demanded
the old
money
tax regime
and you're not giving us
he's
the
right.
money.
It has not been changed. The new tax regime has now got more benefits. The point is that we want people to leave the old tax regime and move to a better, simpler new tax regime. Therefore, this incentive has been given. So yes, if somebody from the middle class moves on to the new tax regime, they will benefit. That is the whole point of this.
Is there a confusion here, Ajay? I mean, is that clear enough? Can I just get...
Can I respond?
Yeah, but you're getting very micro on this. I don't think you have any issues
that
today.
That means, sir, you are asking people not to go for LIC savings, not to build their houses by taking house building loans.
I know I'm.
You're basically encouraging that to happen by forcing people to go opt for only for the new tax regime.
Absolutely not. No. Absolutely. Ajay, come on. I think that deserves a rebuttal.
Yes.
Like the old
Ajay, please go on. Please go on, Ajay.
Nobody is forcing you.
Please go on, Ajay. This is ridiculous. He's talking fiction. Ajay, go on.
No, the FM is very clear.
You are keeping it
The FM is very clear, he says.
And is there still lies 5 lakhs?
Thank you, Monojit. Thank you, Monojit. Ajay, go.
The FM is very clear. The choice is with the SSC. The choice is with the SSC whether they want to file under the new regime or the old regime.
Correct.
I would like to state one fact. 60% of the corporate taxes today are coming under the new regime of no exceptions. What the government has been trying, Arnab, is removing the exceptions, rationalizing taxes, and giving an incentive to people to move to a new regime. You can choose. Not everybody takes a housing loan. Not everybody goes and invests in LIC.
Exactly.
Our penetration of insurance is 4 to 5%.
Okay, Sanju now.
You are putting the money in people's pockets.
Yeah, Sanju.
People with
Go on, Sanju.
class income will not get.
Go on, Sanju. We have limited
Please,
time.
ask him to stop.
He won't stop. Go on.
Okay. I think both Sanjeev and Ajay Bagga made some pertinent points. Now let me, Mr. Mondal, please, you made some allegations. Let me respond. Now assume that, Mr. Mondal does not want to move to the new tax regime. I will answer him as to what has been done for the people who still want to stay in the old tax regime. Let me answer you, from your perspective. Even if you are a part of the old tax regime, it is the Modi government which raised the basic exemption limit a couple of years back from 2 lakhs to 2.5 lakh. For senior citizens, it was raised from 2.5 to 3.
5 lakhs.
Point number 1. Point number 2, the threshold rate was reduced to 5%. Earlier it was 10%. Point number 3, the tax deductible limit under 80EE was raised from 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh.
Yeah, I think
tax deductible benefit from the tax deductible benefit under section 24B was raised from 1.5 to 2 lakhs per annum.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, and the limit under 80C was raised from 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh.
I think he's just getting caught in nuances out here. I think Mohandas my big picture, because you started on the tax issue. What do you want to end on? I mean, we lost the big picture out here. 33% capex. Let's talk about the big picture. Mohandas Pai. 1 minute to end, please. Mohandas Pai.
No problem.
Let me come on for 20 seconds.
Arnab, it is a good budget which rounds off the last 9 years. I will give it 9 out of 10. It is the highest I've ever given to a budget over the last 30 years. And I think it is addressed all the needs of India. It's taken care of all the poor people. It has taken care of the infrastructure requirements. It has taken care of special schemes. And I think it is growing India very fast. And the best thing is, people are paying more and more taxes, more than what is budgeted.
Yeah,
Why are the people of this country paying more tax? They're paying more tax because they're seeing growth.
Also, they believe in what the taxes are going for.
Jobs are going up by 9 lakhs a month. 1.2 crores to 1.4 crore people are getting new jobs. As per
Okay,
the
when we
BPO.
come back.
That is data.
When we come
My
back.
friend from Bengal, we look at data and understand what it is.
When we
Many
come
of us
back,
doesn't
viewers,
speak with data.
when we come back,
We're doing well.
yeah, we're doing well. When we come back, whether this sets the road for a sweep in 2024, ladies and gentlemen, that's in a few minutes. Just a few minutes. Please come back with me.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है पर नामुमकिन नहीं। अब फायरवॉल टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम आग से बचाए।
11,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
आपके कहने पर इस बार टाटा 1mg से दवाई ऑर्डर की थी। ऐप पे आज की ही डिलीवरी बता रहा है, लेकिन इतनी जल्दी तो होगा नहीं, क्यों?
अरे यार, अजीब टाइप के नेगेटिव इंसान हो। मैं लिख के देता हूँ, दवाइयों की डिलीवरी बिल्कुल टाइम पे हो जाएगी। लो जी, आ गया जी।
पटेल जी। हाँ जी, भरोसेमंद है जी।
टाटा 1mg आप भी डाउनलोड कर लें जी।
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है पर नामुमकिन नहीं। अब फायरवॉल टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम आग से बचाए।
साथियों, शहरी महिलाओं से लेकर गांव में रहने वाली महिलाएं हो, कारोबार रोजगार में व्यस्त महिलाएं हो या घर काम में व्यस्त महिलाएं हो, उनके जीवन को आसान बनाने के लिए बीते वर्षों में सरकार ने अनेक विविध कदम उठाए हैं। जल जीवन मिशन हो, उज्ज्वला योजना हो, पीएम आवास योजना हो, ऐसे अनेक कदम। इन सबको बहुत बड़ी ताकत के साथ आगे बढ़ाया जाएगा। उसके साथ साथ महिला सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप एक बहुत बड़ा सामर्थ्यवान क्षेत्र आज भारत में बहुत बड़ी जगह अपने हाथ एक्वायर कर चुका है। उनको अगर थोड़ा सा बल मिल जाए तो मिरेकल कर सकते हैं। और इसलिए विमेन सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप उनके सर्वांगीण के विकास के लिए नई पहल इस बजट में एक नया आयाम जोड़ेगी। महिलाओं के लिए एक विशेष बचत योजना भी शुरू की जा रही है और जनधन अकाउंट के बाद ये विशेष बचत योजना सामान्य परिवार की गृहिणी माताओं बहनों को बहुत बड़ी ताकत देने वाली है। ये बजट सहकारिता को ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था के विकास की दूरी बनाएगा।
I propose to increase the rebate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Modi government is exuding with confidence with a budget eyeing 2047. Now, this is not a government that seems worried about the general election in another 15 months. And with a budget that has ensured economic stability and relief for the middle class, has the Modi government just paved the way for a sweep in 2024? Take a look and then we debate.
It was Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's shortest budget address.
The budget adopts the following 7 priorities. They complement each other and act as the Saptarishi guiding us through the Amritkal.
But perhaps the most power-packed one yet.
MSMEs and professionals. MSMEs are growth engines of our economy. I propose to provide enhanced limits of 3 crore and 75 lakh respectively to the taxpayers whose cash receipts are no more than 5%.
It was a budget that didn't reek of pre-election trepidation.
अब नया बजट आपके सामने है, आइए इस यात्रा को हम आगे बढ़ाएं।
While the opposition was fear-mongering,
The state of the Indian economy is a cause of extreme concern. A slower rate of growth has been the hallmark of the present government.
भारत सरकार के जितने नेता और मंत्री हैं, उनका मुंह काला हो गया है महंगाई से। उनके पास जवाब नहीं है, इसलिए ये दुष्प्रचार।
and there was an attempt to whip up anger against the Modi government by creating economy insecurity. The budget with firm fiscal targets has ensured economic stability.
We are assuming only a buoyancy of 1. But if the experience of this year is repeated next year, then it may in fact be more than 1. But we have taken a conservative assumption. And I think the very fact that the commitment to 4.5% was reiterated word by word in this budget gives you an indication that we feel that we have the means and the ability to reach that target by 2025-26.
With a massive capex for infrastructure, it's propelled job creation.
Up the virtuous cycle of investment and job creation. Honorable Speaker, sir, the capital investment outlay is being increased steeply for the third year in a row by 33% to 10 lakh crores.
The middle class is cheering the tax slab alterations.
It is a good move. अच्छे लोग जो नया टैक्स रिजीम है उनके लिए अच्छा है. It was better for us. तभी एक ही ऑप्शन दिया गया है ओल्ड टैक्स रिजीम का.
बजट तो एग्जैक्टली मतलब जैसा आम आदमी के लिए होना चाहिए उस हिसाब से ही बना है
कि हम जैसे लोगों को टैक्स में रिलीफ मिला है. पहले 5 लाख था, हम सर्विस क्लास है, अब 7 लाख का हो गया. तो ये सरकार का कदम है जो बहुत बढ़िया है.
15 months to the general elections. Has budget 2023 paved the road to 2024 for the BJP? Let's debate.
On one side is Ghanshyam Tiwari, Riju Datta, Tanveer Ahmed and Brijmohan Srivastava, representing the Samajwadi Party, the Trinamool Congress, Janata Dal Secular and the Nationalist Congress Party, the NCP, respectively. On the other side, we have GVL Narasimha Rao of the BJP, we have Ajay Alok, earlier with the JDU, now as a political analyst, Rajat Sethi backs the government, economic analyst, and M. Satya Kumar, lawyer and economist. So we have, and we have with me in the studio, just to give an overall sense of the, of how he reads it, is ladies and gentlemen, Ajay Bagga, well-known macroeconomic expert, stock market expert, and a leading voice of Indian business. Thank you, Ajay, for staying on. Now, what are you going to do after this? You see, you're going to have to do something. Early in the morning, Riju, Ghanshyam was a little short of words. And the only argument that eventually came out when Chidambaram came out stuttering in the evening was, well, very good, but I don't think they'll be able to spend the money. Is that all that can be said, Brijmohan Srivastava? If there isn't anything, then you can graciously say that this time we have no principal disagreement. And I think that would end the matter. Right?
Arnab ji.
That would end the matter.
Arnab ji. No.
Yes, Brijmohan.
No doubt. No, on some point we are agree, and on maximum point we are not agree, because it's very clear. Once they have given a new tax regime for the peoples, those are not paying the house rent, house installment or something other things. But the side effect of it is this, that it is not promoting the investment, savings to the nation. This is also a second part of it. So it's very easy to say that it is a new regime is introduced. No doubt it is welcomed by the peoples also, but we have to see the side effect of this scheme also. It's also a very important thing. The second thing I want to say, that when we listen this Saptarishi Amrit Kal, it's give a pleasure to us, and it's elevated to us also. But when we see on the when I see this thing in a deeper way, I found that it is not in truth. It is simply a slogan. For example, they are saying the green growth, but they have not mentioned a single word the circular economy in the total budget speech, in the total budget text even. And you know, all over the world, if we want to have a green growth, without circular economy, it cannot be implemented. So I am surprised why this government has not mentioned.
Is that all that you have to say
in their budget speech?
Is that all you have to say? If that is all that you have to say, then you have nothing to say.
Yeah,
but I understand. I want to go to because after all, Riju, how can you go after the Modi government? It's providing strong macroeconomic stability. Right? Ajay wants to come in. Ajay Bagga wants to just clarify on that aspect. I think that's been going on about the tax issue.
In all humility, I would like to give one example. You know, since morning, a lot of people are saying that with the new tax regime, people will not invest because they used to invest for tax savings. Today, the reality is out of 100 rupees saved, Indians are investing more than 55 rupees in bank fixed deposits. That is 9 times of what is invested in this tax efficient instruments that the government offers. Now, why are people doing that? They are not getting any tax break for that. Nobody is giving them a tax incentive. It's not under old regime or new regime. So this is semantics. You are giving the choice to people that if you are earning 7 lakhs, don't pay me tax, spend it as you want. Or you want somebody to be told 2.5 lakhs no tax. After that, you have to take a housing loan. Then you can get 1.5 lakhs off. Or you have to invest it into an ELSS scheme for 3 years lockup. Or you take a fixed deposit for 10 years. Then you will get
and half your life goes trying to figure out what the government schemes are, what the schemes are through which you can apply which saving programs. Highly confusing.
Arnab, out of 6 crore tax returns...
But he's trying to put a political spin to it, you notice.
Out of 6 crore tax returns, Arnab, 3 crores don't pay any tax, they're zero. Above 10 lakhs is hardly a few thousand tax returns. So with this 7 lakh given, you have taken care of 80-85% of the population. I would have said this 7 lakhs should have moved to 10 lakhs. All the tax administration should be stopped. Focus on the big guys who are not paying tax. Leave these guys and just leave this 10 lakh rupees. That's an even better, and that will happen. This is a creeping rationalization. So we should see the rationalization that's happened, the choice that has been given. And again, I'm not just speaking out of my hat. It has been done on the corporate side, Arnab. Today, the Revenue Secretary made a very strong statement. 60% of the corporate tax is coming from the non-exempt schemes. So corporates have moved where they're saying, I will not take an exemption. They are bringing in more tax than the individuals.
So it's also becoming a cultural shift in our country. From being a country of tax evaders, we have increased compliance in a very big way. Now that's a cultural shift. Nobody stopped Ghanshyam, your party leaders from going and telling your friend Subrata Roy Sahara that was the right approach. You see, the point is that in the days of Subrata Sahara, Samajwadi Party, etc., there's a different culture. Amar Singh, we remember that culture. It's not like we don't remember. Do we remember the culture? 1 minute. Ajay, do you remember the culture? Do you remember that culture and this culture?
Allow me to answer.
That culture and this culture, a comment from you, you avoided it. What do you remember that culture? Xanadu type, big parties, film stars, Bollywood, Amar Singh, politicians.
Why are you getting nervous?
Adjusting, lena, dena, this, that.
Why are you getting nervous?
Lagado. Kind of stuff. No, I'm just saying when you listen to Ajay Bagga, do you see how far the country has come? Yes. Ajay Alok, the point is this language of compliance, of corporate and individual compliance is remarkable. It's remarkable.
Well, Arnab, I look at your journalism and I can say how far the country has come. There was a time when government was questioned, and there's a time when government is endless.
Oh, come on, don't give me that. Come on, did you build the roads? Did you build the airports? Did you build the capacity? Did you build the capacity?
No, I'm saying...
Or did only Subrata Roy Sahara build his Xanadu?
I'm saying no amount of...
I'm saying let's go back to the facts out here. You got
no amount of talking about Subrata Roy
you got to
Adani's. Talking about
okay, Ajay Alok is on the debate and so is GVL tonight.
No, I'm also on the debate. Allow me to complete a sentence without interrupting. Wait a second, Ajay.
No, but you're having a cultural mismatch with the present times.
I must congratulate this government that they believe that they can win an election through a budget that reduces Manrega, that does nothing for the unemployed youth, that doesn't help the unorganized workers, that doesn't help the critical challenges that rural economy is facing, and this government still believes that they are going to win the election. If that is their basis, this is India shining part 2.
This
and
is
maybe this
absolute
government
lie.
is showing Achhe Din to a small handful of people who are now affected by the Hindenburg report. But the reality is that they have nothing to offer to the people who they have made suffer. They have nothing to offer to the unorganized sector, to the laborers in Bihar where Ajay comes from. Ajay, I would like to seek your answer. That is there a single thing that Bihar has gotten?
Arnab, I think it is this kind of false narrative. See, Arnab, the opposition has been trying hard to really pervade such lies, and without success. I think look at every statement made by Ghanshyam Tiwari is wrong. Narega is actually a demand-driven program, and if the actual demand for employment under Narega is more allocations will come. The revised estimates will show that, will bear that out. It has happened in the past and it will happen in this year as well. And on the employment front, 10 lakh crores of public investment in infrastructure. Will that not have a ripple effect? What does the RBI report say? The RBI report says that every rupee invested in public infrastructure creates a 3.5 rupee impact on the economy. It creates demand, 3.5 times more demand than the investment made in the infrastructure. I think this government has made all right choices. This will create employment, and also the kind of skills that will be imparted through the new skilling centers that have been announced in today's budget. You see, today 30 Skill India International Centers have been announced, where people will acquire skills even to get employed abroad. Under PM Kaushal Vikas 4.0, there are new age courses like artificial intelligence, machine learning. People will learn such courses and they'll get employed. 100 labs for 5G based applications. See, there's an approach 3 centers of excellence for artificial intelligence.
No, but
what is this? All this is going to lead to employment. Investment in tourism, which has the maximum potential to generate employment.
No, but you know,
I think anyone who says employment is not being generated
it's
is
an approach
actually
issue.
lying.
It's an
they
approach
either
issue.
They have not understood.
It depends on how you view the economy.
Or they are deliberately
It depends on how you view the economy. I think it's simple. This government is not banking on SOPs. It's building infrastructure, and therefore it is turning the traditional model of political economy in this country on its head. And I personally think, Riju, this is something to be welcomed. Because if you do not build the infrastructure, you will not create the jobs. SOPs will not make India a developed country. You know that, I know that, right? Centers of excellence in artificial intelligence will. 157 new nursing colleges will. The focus on the tourism sector will. The 10 lakh crores of spending, which is unbelievable, you know, in infrastructure, that kind of capex growth will, and that is the basis on which India, along with China, is contributing what, Ajay, 50% of global growth next year?
Yes, India plus China.
There he says it.
In 2023, the IMF report, which came out day before, this year 50% of global growth will come from India plus China.
Can you believe it? Now your jaw doesn't need to drop. You need to realize this is a reality. And you should be happy, Riju and Tanveer, because you're going to see it happening before you in the next 3 or 4 years. You know? Be happy.
Right. Now can I come in?
Yeah.
Can I come in?
Definitely,
sure.
Definitely, I would have really been happy.
I'm very happy listening to the Honorable
I would have
MP.
definitely really been happy.
Okay, who's going to speak?
Let me speak, sir. Let me speak,
Who's
sir.
going to speak?
You are very happy. So let me say I'm not happy. Let me say why I'm not happy. You are happy. Your happiness can wait for a while, because this program, the Republic is really showing a very happy figure throughout the day. As Ghanshyam really said, that Manrega, MSP, creation of jobs, farmers is absolutely not spoken, and still we are saying that this is not a populist budget. Arey, what is a populist budget? By helping and giving money to poor people, is it a populist budget?
Absolutely no. I would have really applauded the Honorable Finance Minister had she had a real concern towards women. Let's really take China and India together. China, 69.8% of women are there in a proper employment, whereas in India it is only 13.2. And still she's been really, for the last 5 years, she's been harping. The number is absolutely there. Let the Honorable MP, Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, if at all he has right figures, let him present it. And now we are talking about, we are talking about job creation. This is, you had saved the information for posterity. Let me ask GVL Narasimha Rao. Last year he was in the same budget and he was very confident that we are going to become a 5 trillion economy. Are we? Absolutely no.
Yeah,
3 years back, he himself said that the farmers' economy is going to be doubled. Is it? Absolutely
we have become the 5th largest economy, Tanveer.
And we are doubling in the next 6 to 7 years.
Economy only a month ago.
5th largest,
and we will become the 3rd largest in another 3-4 years.
We have been for quite some time.
No. We have become.
Oh yes, exactly.
We have become the 5th largest only a month ago.
And thank God this was the last
Prime
budget
Minister Modi
by
became
Nirmala
Prime Minister.
Sitaraman. India is not going to see
10th largest.
any more budget which is really not thought at all about poor people. It is an anti-farmer, anti-poor, anti-job, anti-youth.
No. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has an allocation of 77,000 crores, which is a jump of 67%. Is that not for the poor? Who lives in Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana? Who gets those houses? It's the poor women, poor households. What about women's self-help groups?
I don't understand. I think, yeah, you see, if you haven't, okay, so let me give Riju an opportunity here to speak, please. Thank you. I don't understand. See, Riju, if you want to, then I can explain to you why your reading of the budget may have been wrong as in your parties, but I'd like to hear from you first. What really is the issue?
Thank you. Now I will rebut point by point on what Mr. Rao has been saying. First of all, he said that the infrastructure, pumping so much money into the infrastructure will bring in jobs for the employment. And Manrega, why they have decreased the allocation? Because it's a demand-based job. Let me remind the Honorable MP that 70% of India is still rural India. And yes, as per you, there is no demand for Manrega because you have already given 16 crore jobs and the remaining jobless youth have become Agniveers. Correct, sir. Now you have pumped more money into the railways. Why? Because 7 years there is no employment in the railways, 70,000 posts abolished, and 90% of railways is privatized. So you pumped more money into it. Very good. Now you are saying you have increased the budget of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Very good, sir. Sir, let me finish, sir. You have said you have pumped more money into Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and that you have done for the poor. Very good. The Honorable Prime Minister of India in 2014 said by 2022 everybody will have pakka houses. So if you would have delivered on your promises, आज आपको पैसे देने नहीं पड़ते, sir. All your entire budget is in future tense. कर रहे हैं, करेंगे, होगा. It is an opportunistic budget, not a futuristic budget. It is full of fake promises.
1.2 crore houses have been built.
Which is for the rich, by the rich. It is anti-middle class. You have not addressed the issues of unemployment. You have not addressed the issues of inflation. You are not giving income, but you are giving income.
I think the 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I think Riju Datta has a point, and he's coming from a very sincere position, and I'll tell you why. Because Riju Datta represents the party which is in power in a state where every day thousands of students sit on the road saying we passed the exams. The Bengal government is neither giving us the job, in hand, or the salary, and where there is a big scam in the education sector. And every day we run a channel in Bengal which is hugely popular, as you know, very, very popular. In fact, most popular channel in Bengal, and I see live every day. Every day people hitting the streets every day saying where are the jobs. So chakri niye kotha na bolle bhalo hoy. Anyway, my counter to you, Riju. If today, if the Trinamool Congress talks about jobs, you got a good one coming. If the Trinamool Congress talks about jobs, you got a good one coming. Now, Tanveer, you don't speak much because I don't know when you'll announce your tie-up with the BJP. Now, listen to me. My question to Riju. Riju, listen to me. Satya is on. Satya and Riju will collide right now on the debate.
Yeah.
Satya, thanks for coming back. It's a question of perspective. I say 33% more capex allocation compared to last year will generate a lot of jobs. Now, I need, Satya, because Riju says it won't generate jobs.
That means Riju is not aware of Indian economy in the first place.
Riju is not aware of economy, you're saying.
The problems of the labor. He doesn't understand the problems of the laborers in the country. Arnab, if you are putting 10 lakh crores on the infrastructure projects,
please,
it is going to multiply jobs.
What is the labor's income that you are giving tax exemption? What is the labor's income?
Please understand.
The tenders will be given to private players who will pay cut money to the BJP.
You don't understand about the laborers. You don't understand about the laborers. When there is an infrastructure project, when there is a waterways that is constructed, when there is a railway infrastructure built, when there is a roadway being constructed, it is a job for the laborers.
Friends and family and their personal
who needs employment?
Which company owns 30% of ports and airports in this country?
It does not matter which company. The companies come into the infrastructure project through a tender process. The companies come into the infrastructure project to develop. It is through tenders. In Gujarat, it is the L&T which is developing the infrastructure project. In Gujarat, it is the L&T, professional management companies developing infrastructure projects. You should understand. It is the laborers
why Manrega has been reduced. Please explain that, Mr. Economist. Please explain why Manrega has been reduced.
The total
please explain
budget,
why education budget has been reduced.
The total budget is 35 lakh crores. 35 lakh crores has to be prioritized for the 7 priorities. That is Saptarishi. There is an allocation for Manrega. There is an allocation for agricultural infrastructure.
What Saptarishi? Don't go by all these bamboozling words.
What is the priority you had in the previous government? You have no priority, no way forward. You are not even aware when there is an infrastructure project.
What is your priority? What have you done? What have you done for the youth in this country? Are you creating jobs?
Please understand.
No, why are you going on about... One minute. Why are you going on about... Riju, explain to me. Okay, so just 1 minute. Rajat Sethi, I want to ask you, Riju, why are you going on about who owns 30% of the ports in this country? I didn't get the reference. What are you talking about? Who owns?
I am asking you.
Huh?
One of the senior most journalists in this country. Who owns 30% of ports and...
I don't know whether I'm one of the senior most, but I'm certainly the most informed. But now you tell me. I want to hear it from you.
Yes, so who owns it?
He speaks in Arab.
Huh?
Who owns it?
You're referring to Adani.
He speaks in...
You're referring to Adani, right?
The same company that has $9 billion debt in Indian banks.
Oh. Okay, well now Riju, my response to you is this.
$30 billion debt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where did you get that
No, 1 minute. And the same company, Riju, Rajat Sethi, and the same company whose head was warmly welcomed by Riju's boss's boss, Mamta Banerjee at the Bengal Global Business Summit saying, I need the Adani Group to come into Bengal right now.
West Bengal.
I need growth. So don't be a hypocrite on my channel right now. Don't be a hypocrite. Are you over-leveraging on Adani yourself? Are you over-leveraging on Adani yourself? Don't use these things politically. I've just exposed you badly.
No, I am saying we have nothing against him, but just say...
Come on now, That's like Ghansham didn't have an answer to my Subrata Roy Sahara story this morning. You don't have an answer to what happened in the West Bengal Business Summit when you rolled the red carpet out for Mr. Adani. Come on now. That's how, even your body language is defensive, huh?
Let the bubble burst and then we'll see.
Yeah, so you're part of the bubble then?
No, let the bubble burst.
If the bubble bursts, you're part of the bubble. You're in the bubble.
We will survive.
In that case, you're in the bubble.
BJP and Mr. Modi
you decide. Come on, don't give me hot air arguments now. Rajat is on the debate. What's the issue?
Well, okay, Rajat. On national television, is Riju on national television criticizing Mamta Banerjee? Let that be a breaking news, Arnab. Well, coming to more serious topics, I think there has been enough discussion around Manrega. You were right; it is a demand-driven scheme. For the past couple of years, due to the shadows of COVID, we saw an uptick in the allocation for Manrega. It was a sharp uptick, actually. More than 25 to 30% extra allocation was done to Manrega because there was a genuine demand for those jobs. That we are way past the COVID scenario now. Going forward, Manrega allocation cannot be the foundations of our growth story in the next several decades going forward. It is pretty clear. There has to be a glide path of phasing out Manrega. We do not want that 2047 when India celebrates 100 years. We are still reliant on a scheme like Manrega.
The jobless
so
are
let us
youth of
not
this country
celebrate
will go?
Manrega.
Why would people be jobless?
This is just a makeshift solution.
Arnab ji.
No, lofty words. Where will the jobless youth of this country go?
People are jobless due to the
Where will they be?
maximum utilization of the mechanical system and the infrastructure.
I think I'll get Ajay and I'll get Ajay Alok and Ajay Bagga on this.
All the government institutions have been privatized. Where will be the jobs?
Okay, Riju, now you asked the question. Why do you want to repeat it? I get it. As I told you, I'm a person with extraordinary intelligence. Now my question is, I get it the first time. My question is, it's a problem of approach. I value Ajay Bagga. I value Ajay. I think it's a problem of approach. From you to the other Ajay Alok, joblessness is not solved only through Manrega. We are treating with Manrega as some kind of a magic potion, Ajay. Like without Manrega, people will have no jobs. But I would say, what kind of jobs do people get with Manrega? As opposed to if you're going to put in 2.5 lakh crore rupees to revamp the railways, what kind of jobs will be created?
Yeah, exactly, Arnab. And the opportunity is there. Post-Ukraine, with the deglobalization that is happening, there is a lot of focus on reshoring, friend-shoring, getting your friends into your supply chains. There's a China plus one opportunity for us. We have seen with the PLI scheme how it has taken off. Just a small example on the mobile phones. We used to import 96% of our mobile phones about 7-8 years back. Today we are exporting something like $10 billion worth of mobile phones.
Well, we're getting some breaking news coming in right now about the Adani FPO. Not confirmed yet, sorry, not confirmed yet. I'm going to ask my newsroom to confirm news about the Adani FPO. Something just came in, which could be big if they actually pulling it back. But I don't know, it's not a confirmation yet.
It's a confirmed news.
It's not a confirmed news yet. I'm just coming into our newsroom right now. If the Adani FPO is not going through, that's big. But yeah, please continue while we confirm that news, ladies and gentlemen. If that happens, we're going to breaking news more in a minute. Yeah.
So, if you look at 1979 when China did its Big Bang reforms, we did in 91.
Yeah.
1979, both of us were sitting at $300 billion of GDP.
Yeah.
Today, China is 5.5 times our size.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there. And I meet a lot of foreign investors on a weekly basis. What is the thing? You have the natural resources, you have the people, you have the technical expertise. Get the infrastructure ready. When my factory makes something, it takes a long time to travel to the ports and to clear from the ports.
Yeah.
You need a huge investments in our infrastructure, what the US did 100 years after its independence, what Europe did after all the unifications that happened in the mid-1870s. We are at that takeoff stage in infrastructure, and this 10 lakh crores today, well spent 10 lakh crores, we have seen the GDP multiplier. You set up a road, you connect a village to a road, it's a
long term. It's a long term. So the approach is long term versus short term.
Absolutely.
Ajay Alok, the question is, politicians seek short term return. But this is an investment into the long term, so it's a difference of approach. Ajay Alok, while we are confirming news on the Adani FPO. Ajay Alok.
No, I'll go by the political reference only. It seems to me, after listening for last 30 minutes to all the opposition friends,
breaking totally.
One thing is for certain, and this country should know, that all opposition have agreed that they will always disagree with Modi government, whether it is right or wrong. Now, as far as Mr. Riju goes, investment into football clubs does not bring jobs.
Riju.
And as far my friend Tanveer goes, I'll just ask him, if JDS, Kumaraswamy invests somewhere around 200 crores in a hotel in Bangalore, does he give employment or not? When he can employ 500 people, then by investing 10 lakh crores...
Is it true he's invested 200 crores in a hotel?
That's really funny.
Who's invested 200 crore in a hotel?
No, he has a lot of
what about when the government
interest?
When government invests in the...
He has a lot of business interest
the airport,
in agriculture and multiple things. Then, so that is, I'm just citing an example. So by investing this is the budget of the first time. This is not a budget for the election.
Okay, we're getting the breaking news right now, and I have the press release of the Adani Group which has just come in. The Adani FPO has been called off. The Adani FPO has been called off, and we luckily have Ajay Bagga right here with the studio. And it's saying that the board of directors of the company at its meeting held today has decided in the interest of its subscribers not to proceed with the further public offer FPO of equity shares aggregating to 20,000 crores at face value of 1 each on partly paid up basis, which was fully subscribed. And this has been signed, at least a copy doing the rounds of Jatin Jalundwala. Jatin Jalundwala, we are doing this. ANI is also putting out the story out here. We have an ANI news report on this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the board of Adani Enterprises deciding not to go ahead with the FPO. And they are saying there was an unprecedented situation, the current market volatility with the stock losing about 30% today, which was huge. And this is going to be the big story right now. I mean, something's gone terribly wrong, and the party is the company is talking about the fact that going ahead with the FPO would not be morally correct in the present circumstances because there'd be a big price gap, I assume. Ajay, what do you think of this?
It's difficult to right now forecast what what turn this kind of a decision will take. It is an evolving situation, Arnab. So I would not like to really comment on a particular group.
Sure.
I might have positions either way, so it would be a vested advice. But what we have to see is what will be the market reactions tomorrow. It has, unfortunately, this whole issue has overtaken our the market sentiments for the last few days. So it has become an overhang. Very difficult to say how it will be received.
I understand.
Overall.
Yeah, I understand. You're being cautious about it, and thanks for the disclosure there in case there is anything, and you're just doing the right ethical thing. But the big story right now, ladies and gentlemen, story taking an immediate and interesting turn. I'd like to, any comments on this? The Adani FPO not going through, big implications for the Adani Group as well. Any hands going up? Okay, Tanveer wants to say something there. Satya, you first. Both the opposition parties saying something there. Okay, go ahead. Who goes first? Tanveer.
Arnab,
big story today.
I mean, I personally feel that it's a good decision. I personally feel it is a good decision because the way the shares of Adani Group taking beating, and it is a good decision if at all if the FPO goes, and I'm sure it is really going to send a wrong precedent about Adani. See, the opposition doesn't hate Adani and Ambani. The way they do business is possibly something to be questioned because we want every industry in India to grow. And I wish Adani, all the wrongdoings which they have done in the past, they would correct it, and that is definitely need of the hour.
Could this become political is the question. Riju?
I just want to say that, that if I am not a student of economy, but what I have understood is that when the FPO was fully subscribed, it was subscribed by non-institutionalized players. It was like private families that bought this subscription. So I believe Mr. Adani has done the right thing, but the only concern here is there is too much of LIC and SBI which is invested in the Adani Group, which is common people's money. And that is the only factor that we should think about right now.
No, but this is going to have implications, for Adani overall. For Adani overall as well, because if they couldn't pull off the FPO and extraordinary circumstances, they said corporate India is supporting them, backing them, but yet, is it a question of moral obligation or simply that of pricing or a mix of both? Satya.
I think the pulling out from the FPO is, personally, it's a right idea. But I'm really concerned, or I'm looking forward to see how the markets are going to react because they're a big player in the market. So personally, I feel pulling out from the FPO is the right decision. And I'm sure that this volatility will be managed by the Indian stock market.
No, it's not that. It's not about the volatility on the stock markets. I'm interested in the impact on the group.
It is a
Ghanshyam.
calculated thing.
Yeah, and of course,
it has nothing to do with moral obligation.
It is astounding that no one is asking about the role of the government. No one is asking at a time when SEBI is investigating the report on our back was SEBI is investigating the route. We are saying that IMF says that India is going to be the best economy of 2023, and the leading industrial house whose entire business spanned and grew from India is facing such a rout on the basis of a report that did not even originate from India, when India has a flourishing news and news media that can come up with its own report. The report speaks about this group and has a shadow on our institutions. If this government doesn't stand up, it will weaken the morale of foreign investors who may see this report and look at the situation in India as if we are a republic
first things
with
first.
a house of
No,
cards.
first things first. I agree with the fact overall issue here. But first things first, we must put in absolutely clear context. Hindenburg is a short seller. I hope you know what a short seller is, right? And there have been dubious allegations around Hindenburg being a short seller in the past. The Hindenburg is not a media group. Please understand the difference between the two. Short seller means they short sell. They short sell to get profit out of it. Please understand the difference. They are not a media group. They are a short seller to short sell and make profit out of it. That's the point. They've short sold on Eros in the past. Please understand the basic difference. Please understand the basic difference. Satya.
Comes up with a report that challenges not only the leading industrial house,
I would say whatever the issues here are,
business is something that the government must
I would say that whatever the issues are,
silence.
this is for Adani to deal with.
The government cannot
It's not-
sit in
it's-
silence. Government, everyone knows that government has had a helping hand in different ways. The red carpet in terms of loans and largesse given by Indian institutional investors ranging from LIC to SBI to private banks such as ICICI. This is taxpayers' money. This is the nation's
fact
money,
is,
and the
1
government
minute.
cannot sit
We
in
have the
silence.
breaking. No. Fact is, please. Now, an alignment being made between Adani and the government won't be fair at this stage, right? It were corporates who were bailing out Adani, not the government. It was it was India Inc. which came to his rescue yesterday, not the government. Satya. But there are many factors going against Adani, of course.
Alignment with the government Adani is not the right thing to be done, because every access to the fund is through a proper due diligence process and the legal process. We cannot bring an alignment to the government. And second thing, the report publishes only, Arnab said the report publishes only for the purpose of short selling. And there is no real value out of that report, which is only a speculation. So that is the point to be made up.
Yeah, but when the market falls to 30%, obviously, would it also be seen here that probably they did not see an imminent recovery, Satya? If they had seen an imminent
the report is not credible, and the group is credible that faces a 30% rout, then either you don't understand the market, or you want to give a very, very good helping hand to the government that backs the group as well as the group
I think
this is the real situation that-
One minute. You know, the question is, of course, 1 minute. Remember the calling off of the FPO.
our own money.
Gansham, listen. The calling off of the FPO.
I am talking about the overall investment in the Adani Group. India as a nation is invested because of LIC getting invested, because of SBI in offering debt, because of our private banks offering debt. You look at the entire debt pie of Adani Group and investment pie of Adani Group, and more than 50 paise of every 1 rupee comes from our taxpayers' money, our institutional money.
Rajat is on.
The government cannot look the other way.
No, the government looking the other way?
Government is silent. They are hiding. Have you heard a single sentence from a minister? This government sends
GVL, you want to say
CBI,
something there?
The moment a fly flies and this government is silent, not a response, not a word.
Arnab, one little advice to all the people who are watching the program who have invested with Adani.
You're giving stock tips here? But I would say it's an extraordinary story. You know, Adani has been dismissing the claims of Hindenburg.
Book your losses, sell.
No. 1 minute.
Stop. No. Because it is further going to fall. It is definitely going to fall.
The question here is Adani has dismissed the claims.
It's not about moral high position. It is about calculated measure. People who have put their hard-earned money for making some profit for their family, I'm sure they should not continue.
I think one factor, I think, see one factor which would, one thing which would come to mind, and it must be said, that Adani is very heavily invested in several infrastructure sectors in the country. And therefore, we must not fool ourselves that if there is major, and I mean major underlined, if there is major volatility in the Adani group, it will come with middle to long-term ramifications. So I think everyone, including the government, would be watching this very closely. They'd be foolish if they are not. But I think this is extraordinary, that they decided not to proceed with the FPO. The market's going to be ablaze tomorrow. I can only tell you that. Market's going to be absolutely ablaze like a blaze tomorrow. I'm not saying that Hindenburg...
The market would have definitely fallen because of the poor budget. Market
no, it's not that. It's not that. I'll tell you why. No, 1 second. No, you're factually wrong. You're factually wrong. Your market, I'll tell you one thing. See,
I'm actually factually right.
Dude, you're not always right, you know. You can't just keep saying I'm factually right. The Adani group is on NSE. It is not on BSE. The NSE has fallen. There is a considerable gap between NSE and BSE, between the Sensex and the Nifty. You should see that today and you'll realize it's the Adani fall which has contributed to the fall of the Nifty. Never counter me on these issues. I think GVL wants to say something. GVL, big story here.
Arnab.
Let GVL come in.
Put my hard-earned money in stock,
the budget was presented.
I do really understand.
Tanveer,
I think people
Arnab,
the
budget was presented in the morning and the markets went up today.
And nothing can really save
so
it for a longer time.
So if there was any...
who was speaking, the economist, talking about moral height, nothing about moral height is a calculated measure which is taken by Adani Group.
Okay, GVL.
You see, the markets went up today. So certainly the markets have received the budget positively. So if anything happens tomorrow, it has to be anything other than budget.
Absolutely no.
In any case, I was not commenting on this because a decision to withdraw an FPO is a decision of a corporate. This has nothing to do with the BJP. People have seen how Congress government, how the Prime Minister's office was acting as a back office for Vijay Mallya, calling up SBI, asking them to give them loans, bail out corporates. This government does not do that. This government has maintained an arm's length, a mile's length rather, from any kind of decisions by the banks or by LIC or any other institutional investor. I think if anybody has made investments in any corporate, these are professional decisions they have made and they will have to defend them. So it has nothing to do with the government. This government does not run. The PMO does not run, does not operate decisions of the bank.
No, but this is, I do understand, but you know, please do understand, GVL, that it will be debated. It will be debated politically as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Adani is not a small company, GVL. Adani is a big company. And the big company has a large amount of exposure to various sectors, and including sectors and investments in which we have a large diplomatic stake. He was talking to Azerbaijan recently. You know, he is looking at what's happening in Iran. He is involved in investments of India in Sri Lanka. So we have to watch it very closely here. Comments are coming in. Satya wants to come in on this very volatile story, very breaking. Republic is live on the story. Yes, yes, Riju. 2 versus 2, ladies and gentlemen. We're staying on the story.
We have to understand that by pulling out from the FPO, Adani Group is showing that they are not in cash stress. They are showing that they are not in cash stress. And second thing is that they are respecting the investor. This move by Adani shows that they are respecting the investor, and it also shows that they are not in cash stress.
That they are not in cash stress, but it's not about stress. They were raising the money to pay off a large part of their debt. So those questions will indeed remain, Satya. How will they pay off the debt? How will they invest in those schemes? There was a need for those funds. Yes, Riju.
I just want to say, you know, before all this report and research and everything came out, in 2013, the Adani Group was $1.9 billion. And in 2023, the Adani Group was $137 billion. Do we need a report or a research to see a growth of a company of $130 billion?
But you know, you're taking, you can't, but you're welcoming that in. Did you not know this when you were seeking that investment in Bengal? Don't be a hypocrite now. You know, please don't do this, you know. How can you even do this with a straight face, yeah? How does he do it with a straight face?
The wrongdoing, do you want to really...
Remarkable young man, Riju.
I am trying to say here that if the Adani group falls, I am trying to say the Adani group is so heavily invested in the infrastructure of the country that if something happens to that group, the economy of the country will be in turmoil. Can people understand
Don't overstate it.
From LIC to SBI, $9 billion in Indian bank debt.
It's not going.
You get new.
It's not going
That
to be
is what
like
I'm
that.
trying to say. The central government needs
It's not
to
going to be like that. And first, second thing,
Tomorrow market is going to fall,
to score political
not
points,
because of Adani,
to score
because of
political
bad
points,
budget,
don't
and
use
Adani
the
is also
shoulders of an
contributing to
industrialist.
it.
Well. To score your political points, don't use the shoulders of a corporate. There is no need for that. And second thing, this country is not weak enough that it just by falling of one corporate will lead to the economic turmoil in the country. This is not going to happen, number one. Number two, Mr. Adani Group has never been. Mr. Adani's group.
Mr. Adani in the
Please go and check. This is a different story from Vijay Mallya. It's a different story from Vijay Mallya. Mr. Adani or his group has never been a bank defaulter at any point of time.
No, does it? Okay, would you not have? One minute. Let me.
There is no cash stress.
No, let me take the question the other way around. If Adani Group would not have returned the money, okay, then Riju Datta and Ghanshyam would be sitting here and saying, see, this Adani Group does not keep the interests of the investors in mind. Right? Yes, now, so you got to understand, doesn't this actually send a signal that they keep the interests of investors above all, including their immediate cash requirements?
Well, Arnab, the story is much bigger than that. It involves India's major institutions, and I don't think that just the investor dimension is enough. Calling off the FPO, I believe that you are absolutely right, that the group is involved, whether they are close to government or not, close to BJP, I can make that political charge. But irrespective of that, the group is involved in strategic interests of the country from at domestic front and international front. And they spiraling down on the basis of a report is almost mocking the nation and also dangerous for the country. So I believe that the government must act. I don't expect GVL Narasimha Rao to be so cagey. He has to say something on behalf of the government as a member of parliament of BJP. All of us can discuss our opinion, but it is absolutely clear that BJP Adani Group have been close, and this government has had a hand, whether it is right or wrong, has a hand in their rise, and their spiraling fall will affect the country overall.
He says I rose more during the Congress time.
He can say whatever, but he did not become the number 2 richest man in the world during Congress time, and it is beyond the charges. It is time that GVL Narasimha Rao responds as a member of parliament of BJP and a long-time spokesperson of BJP rather than an opinionator here, because the nation is seriously involved in this spiraling crisis.
GVL, ball is in your court.
Did I not say? I think
ball is in your court, Mr. Rao.
No. I think it's certainly what we see. Yes, I'm answering that. You see, the decision to withdraw the FPO is a corporate decision. The government has nothing to do with it. And if any institutional, any public institution is invested heavily in Adani Group, it is for them to answer.
I think it is about
the government does not get involved in which financial institution invests in what corporate. I think this is what used to happen.
Taxpayers get impacted when millions of equity investors get impacted, when our major banks and financial institutions get impacted by a group that is supposedly very close to you as a party and as a government and as a state. You cannot sit idle and hide behind the phony reason that the government has nothing to do with it. Do you think that the reports coming from Sri Lanka,
I'm sure government would look at, government is looking at this exactly as the way they would look at
80% of India's logistics.
This is not a storm from which this government, BJP and GVL Narasimha Rao, you can hide. This is a storm that will take over the country, and if you hide, it will hurt the nation. Forget the politics of it.
We can see that you must. Mr. Rao, the opposition sensing an opportunity here. The opposition sensing an opportunity here because of the large exposure of Mr. Adani into various sectors. Now, many of those are his own personal corporate bets. Of course, those are his own corporate bets. So I would just want to understand why those bets are being associated with the BJP. He's made these bets. He's made these bets over years.
This is the kind of.
Arnab, if a group controls 30% of logistics of India,
the opposition is simply using this kind of lies have been perpetrated, propagated for a very long time. And if the opposition wants to raise this issue in Parliament, they're welcome to do so. We are going to have debate on President's address to the both houses of Parliament from tomorrow, and there will be debate on budget in the next few days. Certainly, the opposition can raise it.
Well, this is a volatile situation. I think Satya, stay on. Satya, stay on. I'm going to come back to you, Satya, in a bit. I'd request as many guests as possible to stay on, right? And we have to go into a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. Unprecedented announcement out here. We're tracking the story closely. I will be getting more reactions because the information is only starting to flow in. I'll take a break. We are continuing. We're continuing.
11,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking, and proactive professionals.
Everything we know, everything we love, might well be at risk. The time for action is now. Together, we can be champions for the earth.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है, पर नामुमकिन नहीं। अब फायरवॉल टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम आग से बचाए।
आपके कहने पर इस बार टाटा 1mg से दवाइयां ऑर्डर की थी। ऐप पे आज की ही डिलीवरी बता रहा है, लेकिन इतनी जल्दी तो होगा नहीं, क्यों?
अरे यार, अजीब टाइप के नेगेटिव इंसान हो। मैं लिख के देता हूँ, दवाइयों की डिलीवरी बिल्कुल टाइम पे हो जाएगी। जी आ गया जी।
पटेल जी। हाँ जी, भरोसेमंद है जी।
टाटा 1mg आप भी डाउनलोड कर लें जी।
साथियों, शहरी महिलाओं से लेकर गांव में रहने वाली महिलाएं हो, कारोबार रोजगार में व्यस्त महिलाएं हो या घर काम में व्यस्त महिलाएं हो, उनके जीवन को आसान बनाने के लिए बीते वर्षों में सरकार ने अनेकविध कदम उठाए हैं। जल जीवन मिशन हो, उज्ज्वला योजना हो, पीएम आवास योजना हो, ऐसे अनेक कदम। इन सबको बहुत बड़ी ताकत के साथ आगे बढ़ाया जाएगा। उसके साथ साथ महिला सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप एक बहुत बड़ा सामर्थ्यवान क्षेत्र आज भारत में बहुत बड़ी जगह अपने हाथ एक्वायर कर चुका है। उनको अगर थोड़ा सा बल मिल जाए तो मिरेकल कर सकते हैं, और इसलिए विमेन सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप उनके सर्वांगीण के विकास के लिए नई पहल इस बजट में एक नया आयाम जोड़ेगी। महिलाओं के लिए एक विशेष बचत योजना भी शुरू की जा रही है, और जनधन अकाउंट के बाद ये विशेष बचत योजना सामान्य परिवार की गृहिणी माताओं बहनों को बहुत बड़ी ताकत देने वाली है। ये बजट सहकारिता को ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था के विकास की धुरी बनाएगा।
I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakh in the new tax regime. Thus, persons in the new tax regime with income up to 7 lakhs will not have to pay any tax at all. The second proposal relates to middle class individuals. I had introduced in the year 2020 the new personal income tax regime with 6 income slabs starting from 2.5 lakh. I propose to change the tax structure in this regime by reducing the number of slabs to 5 and increasing the tax exemption limit to 3 lakhs. The new tax rates are 0 to 3 lakh, nil. 3 to 6 lakhs, 5%. 6 to 9 lakhs, 10%. 9 to 12 lakh, 15%. 12 to 15 lakhs, 20%. And above 15 lakhs, 30%. This will provide major relief to all taxpayers in the new regime. An individual with an annual income of 9 lakhs will be required to pay only 45,000 rupees. This is only 5% of his or her income. It is a reduction of 25% on what he or she is required to pay now. That is 60,000. So in the place of 60,000, it is now only 45,000. Similarly, an individual with an income of 15 lakh rupees would be required to pay only 1.5 lakh or 10% of his income or her income, a reduction of 20% from the existing liability of 1,87,500 rupees.
साथियों, शहरी महिलाओं से लेकर गांव में रहने वाली महिलाएं हो, कारोबार रोजगार में व्यस्त महिलाएं हो या घर काम में व्यस्त महिलाएं हो, उनके जीवन को आसान बनाने के लिए बीते वर्षों में सरकार ने अनेक विविध कदम उठाए हैं। जल जीवन मिशन हो, उज्ज्वला योजना हो, पीएम आवास योजना हो, ऐसे अनेक कदम, इन सबको बहुत बड़ी ताकत के साथ आगे बढ़ाया जाएगा। उसके
Viewers, we remain live and breaking with the confirmation letter of the Adani Group withdrawing its FPO, which as of yesterday was fully subscribed, or so we had been told, and the letter is with us on the surface right now. I'd like to read it out loud. The board of the Adani Enterprises Limited has decided not to go ahead with the fully subscribed follow-on public offer or FPO. It says, given the unprecedented situation and the current market volatility, the company aims to protect the interest of its investing community by returning the FPO proceeds and withdraws the completed transaction. The letter goes on to quote Gautam Adani, the chairman of Adani Enterprises Limited, who says, the board takes this opportunity to thank all the investors for your support and commitment to our FPO. The subscription for the FPO closed successfully yesterday. Despite the volatility in the stock over the last week, your faith and belief in the company, its business and its management has been extremely reassuring and humbling. So on one hand, he acknowledges that the FPO was fully subscribed. He then says, however, today the market has been unprecedented and our stock price has fluctuated over the course of the day. Given these extraordinary circumstances, the company's board felt that going ahead with the issue will not be morally correct. He says that going ahead with the issue will not be morally correct. The interest of the investors is paramount, and hence to insulate them from any potential financial losses, the board has decided not to go ahead with the FPO. We are working with our book running lead managers to refund the proceeds received by us in escrow and also to release the amounts blocked in your bank accounts for subscription to this issue. Our balance sheet, he then adds, our balance sheet is very healthy with strong cash flows and secure assets, and we have an impeccable track record of servicing our debt. This decision will not have any impact on our existing operations and future plans. We will continue to focus on long-term value creation, and growth will be managed by internal accruals. Once the market stabilizes, we will review our capital market strategy. We are very confident that we will continue to get your support. Thank you for your trust in us. That is the letter by the Adani Group announcing that its 20,000 crore rupee follow-on public offer, which was held over 3 days, which was fully subscribed as of yesterday, is now being withdrawn. The group is going to return the proceeds of the FPO to the investors. It is going to return them in the various ways that are mentioned. As its reasoning, it cites how, following the completion of the FPO, today the stock market scrip of Adani Group showed a lot of volatility, it says, And that is why, given the unprecedented situation, referring to the Hindenburg report, I presume it says that it is not morally correct for the Adani Group to continue with this FPO, and hence to insulate the investors from any damaging effect of the volatility, it is choosing to return the proceeds of the FPO. So a nearly $3 billion FPO that was completed by the Adani Group will now no longer be active. It will be withdrawn, and all the proceeds will be returned to the various investors. This is after a week plus a couple of days, almost 8 days of this row that has erupted over the New York-based financial investigation company called Hindenburg, which unleashed a report in which it asked about 88 questions to the Adani Group, making a range of allegations. In turn, the Adani Group replied with a 413-page statement in which it said that it had replied to all of the Hindenburg Group's questions. However, Hindenburg said that it was not satisfied with the response, and that is where we are effectively with regards to the Adani versus Hindenburg back and forth. However, the FPO was of prime importance. The FPO was cited as one of the reasons by the Adani Group why the Hindenburg report was published in the first place. And so now, after its completion, after its full subscription, after a slow start, the Adani Group has, for the reasons cited, chosen to withdraw its FPO. We'll go through the letter once again. There are two letters here. One is the media release by the group which cites Gautam Adani's explanation for why the FPO is being withdrawn, and another letter that we have accessed is from the Adani Group to the Bombay Stock Exchange and the National Stock Exchange, announcing to them that it is withdrawing its FPO. Let's go through the letter once again and its various parts. It says, and it was just released a couple of minutes ago, the board of Adani Enterprises Limited has decided not to go ahead with the fully subscribed follow-on public offer or FPO. Given the unprecedented situation and the current market volatility, the company aims to protect the interest of its investing community by returning the FPO proceeds and withdraws the completed transaction. It then goes on to quote what Gautam Adani, the chairperson of Adani Enterprises Limited, has said, and he says, "The board takes this opportunity to thank all the investors for your support and commitment to our FPO. The subscription for the FPO closed successfully yesterday. Despite the volatility in the stock over the last week, your faith and belief in the company, its business and its management has been extremely reassuring and humbling. Thank you." However, today the market has seen unprecedented, or rather has been unprecedented, and our stock price has fluctuated over the course of the day. Given these extraordinary circumstances, the company's board felt that going ahead with the issue will not be morally correct. The interest of the investors is paramount, and hence to insulate them from any potential financial losses, the board has decided not to go ahead with the FPO. So those are the two parts of his statement, but he doesn't end there. He says, "We are working with our book running lead managers to refund the proceeds received by us in escrow and also to release the amounts blocked by your bank accounts for subscription to this issue." And then finally he gives a defense of his group's finances, and he says, "Our balance sheet is very healthy with strong cash flows and secure assets, and we have an impeccable track record of servicing our debt. This decision will not have any impact on our existing operations and future plans. We will continue to focus on long-term value creation, and growth will be managed by internal accruals. Once the market stabilizes, we will review our capital market strategy. We are very confident that we will continue to get your support. Thank you for your trust in us." So once again reiterating, the Adani Group has decided to withdraw its FPO despite it being fully subscribed. It will return all the funds collected as part of the FPO, all the investments to the investors. We have also joining us our Executive Editor, Law and Governance, Ridham Anand Bharadwaj. And Ridham, what is your reading of the statement by the Adani Group? The FPO was fully subscribed, but they are withdrawing it.
Yeah, as we are looking at the statement, I think the one thing that one needs to see right now is even as Gautam Adani's statement comes out, the glee of some people, especially those who understand nothing about the markets, that the cancellation of the FPO has to be seen to be believed. In fact, they not only don't care less for the country's economy because of their political bias, but they also have no concern for ordinary shareholders. I want to also go across to our guests who are joining us at 11 o'clock with Ankit and me. We have Sushil Kedia, founder of CEO Kedia-nomics, a key financial market research firm, joining us. Dr. M. Satyakumar, lawyer and economist joining us live from Chennai. Ramakrishnan T.S., public finance expert, live from Chennai. Ghanshyam Tiwari, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, also live from Delhi. And Tanveer Ahmed, national spokesperson of the JDS. If we actually go and look at this politically, Ghanshyam, I want to ask you this question before I go across to get a political, analytical answer on this. Don't you think it's a time to keep politics aside and to understand that morally, the kind of responsibility that is needed for the investors is being followed through?
Well, Adani Group says Adani is India in its response, right? And I don't think anyone here or any one of your viewers will believe that. It is time that our institutions rise to their responsibilities. Thankfully, Parliament is in motion, and we will see that the Parliament has an opportunity to rise to this responsibility. Definitely, due to strategic interest, Adani Group is too big to fail. So one can easily put politics aside to make sure that the people who have innocently placed their trust and not knowing the backdrop of the scandalous situation that exists, their interests are protected, interests of investors are protected, interests of our institutions, who, whether because of government or in spite of government, we don't know. A probe will tell, but it is this thing is going to spiral into a full-fledged probe into how this group has been able to secure so much from LIC, from SBI, from our domestic institutions, and how one report from originating from outside India can set the house on fire.
Okay, I get the point that you're trying to make, but I also want to go across to really get an understanding of whether it's the interests of the investors that is being kept at the forefront. Sushil Kedia, who's joining us here. Sushil, how are you looking at this? Because we also need to see that there is also a special mention made of the investors. The board has decided, therefore, not to proceed with the FPO.
See, if the stock price collapses so much right on the FPO closure day, and of a substantial size and very quality, deep-pocketed investors, it's not like that you do a fly-by-night operation, collect what is the cash and leave everybody high and dry. Seeking investments is an ongoing relationship with worthy deep pockets. So if markets have been more than good and bad, actually very ugly for Adani stocks, and on the same day that anybody comes to write you a check and such a heavy haircut comes, so of course those people are going to pick up the phone and say, hey, what's been done to us? So if you want to remain in the game and be responsible, be credible, I think for whatever is the mercilessness happening in the markets, which is another part of the conversation, this withdrawal of the FPO by the Adani Business Group is the right, credible thing any responsible businessman will do.
Yes. I also tend to agree with the fact that this has to be seen with a bit more responsibility. I want to go across to get the views of Satyakumar, lawyer and economist, who's also joining us here. Mr. Satyakumar, the one question is, the company is now working with the book running lead managers to refund the proceeds that received by its escrow and to also release the amounts blocked into investors' bank accounts for subscription to this issue. He says we will refund the proceeds. How are you looking at this move?
Definitely, the group has taken a responsible step in refunding the investors. And second thing, it has also re-established the credibility among the investors. Of course, this impact is because of the report that we have received from the western part of the world. And anybody can be affected by this. We have to understand it's just not Adani. In future, any group can be affected by this kind of a report that can come from any part of the world. So we need to see whether the group is acting responsibly. The group is acting responsibly. That also shows that they are not in cash stress. And the group chairman's statement saying that the balance sheet is healthy and he can manage this situation with an internal accrual. These are all accounting knowledge, accounting language. We have to understand this. I quote the group chairman's point here. Our balance sheet is very healthy with a strong cash flow. That means there is no stress or cash stress and secure assets, and we have an impeccable track record of servicing our debt. So that means he's saying that there won't be any problem with respect to servicing the debt. So he is also assuring that people who have provided the debt to the company, this ratio will not have any impact on our existing operation. And he says the group remains on the long-term value creation. And second important thing he mentions here is the internal accruals can be used for managing the situation. And he also says very clearly that he will relook at the review the capital market strategy in the days to come. So that clearly shows that the group is acting responsibly by calling off the FPO and acting, working with the lead book runners to refund the money as per law. Shows that the group is not violating any regulation of the SEBI or any regulation of the Companies Act. So we have to understand anybody in this position can be affected by any report that can come from any part of the world. The question here is whether the calling off of FPO and its impact can be managed. So here the group chairman has assured it, and I'm sure that he will be doing it with all the possible strategies.
Yes, and I think this is a time to speak responsibly, just like Dr. M. Satyakumar has, because this is the time to understand what will happen. I also want to go across to Ramakrishnan TS, a public finance expert, before I come back.
One more point, which I also want to make. The people who are trying to align the group with the government as to act responsibly, because any statement they make, it can have an impact on the market. 1, 2, the government can only respond to a regulatory action. They are not here to respond to every reaction of the market. If they're going to react for every reaction of the market, they cannot make a budget. Today, when the budget was brought, the market was up. The market can go down. It depends upon the volatility of the market. Tanvi should understand. Don't try to align the government with the group. If you're going to do this, very nearly it's going to be a problem for the corporate India. Why people are not politicians? Why you people are not acting responsibly? That's my question. Well, that report has an impact on a corporate here in India, and the corporate is acting responsibly in calling off the FPO. Why is there a question of alignment of the government with the group? It can happen even to any company. It can happen to any infrastructure company in the country. So please try to avoid this kind of alignment of the group with the government. And for information, Tanvi, go to Gujarat and check all the infrastructure projects. Most of the infrastructure projects are managed by L&T, Larsen & Toubro. It's a professionally managed company. How can you align the corporate India with the government's? How can you align the government and the corporate? So please understand, it can happen to any corporate. The question here is, please understand, the question here is whether the group is acting responsibly. The Adani group is acting responsibly by calling off FPO, and they are assured to pay back. And they're also saying that the balance sheet is healthy. And they're also assuring that the debts will be serviced. They're also saying they can manage institutions and accruals. They're also saying that the long-term creation is there.
We cannot have so much monologue.
Tanvi,
okay, it's not a moment.
you seem to be.
I quite agree with the responsible stand by Dr. M. Satyakumar. But before I come across to Tanveer and Ghanshyam and the politicization of this issue, I also want to get in public financial expert Ramakrishnan TS. We just heard Dr. Satyakumar
it is not
talking about it. 1 minute, Tanveer, just 1 minute. Before I come across to you, and I do understand what you want to say, I want to understand how and whether the Indian markets are going to be tested. We've also heard earlier Indian banks have very little exposure to Adani debt. So how are we to look at this, Ramakrishnan TS? Because like Dr. Kumar spoke about it, what's going to happen with the Indian markets tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll come to that. See, when the Adani Enterprises announced their FPO around a week or 10 days back, the GMP, grey market premium, was almost 5 to 10%, and almost every broker, every reviewer has, recommended that it should be suspended. With the Hindenburg report, the prices have started decreasing slowly, and today it is a great fall. And even people like me have thought that Adani Enterprises may withdraw their FPO before even the subscription starts. But they didn't do that. So they waited for the subscription to end, and they got subscription to the point of 112%. That is more than 12% more subscription has happened. Only the retail investors and the high net worth individual investors of less than 2 lakhs have not subscribed to enough. Otherwise, qualified institutional bidders as well as the high net worth individual more than 10 lakhs have subscribed more than what is required. And as a result, the Adani Enterprises Limited has got full subscription, more than full subscription. So today it has fallen. And I want to tell you that Adani has taken a very strategic and wise decision by withdrawing from FPO. Because it is not only morally correct, it is also not right for him when the same shares are available at 2,100 rupees now. It is not fair on his part to ask the subscriber to pay 3,200 rupees. So yes, he wanted to prove that FPO can sail through. That he has succeeded. This is how actually a businessman replied to that. I say, please remember that I am speaking without fear or favor. I don't have anything against Adani Enterprises or for enterprises. So first he wanted to prove that the FPO can sail through, and once it is sailed through, he gracefully withdraw the FPO. So this is the strategy that he has adopted, and this is going to help him in the long term. He doesn't require this 20,000 rupees to manage his business. He has enough cash, he has enough resources to manage his business. He wanted to reduce his debt. Already he has around debt of around 2 lakh, which is, so he wanted to reduce debt.
Understandable.
But he may do it after.
Okay, I also want to introduce on our panel Savio Rodrigues, Chief Editor of Goa Chronicle, who's also joining us live from Goa. Possibly very soon we're going to be trying to get in a sense of the political situation. Savio will also be there to answer what Ghanshyam and Tanveer are saying. But first I want to go across to Sushil Kedia. Mr. Kedia, you also spoke about another factor that needs to be seen here. We're also seeing Ramakrishnan TS say it's a strategic move. How are you looking at the move, and what is the other factor that needs to be understood?
See, I'm not sure which other factor you're talking about, but it's plain simple business of raising capital. Unless and until you act responsibly to very large pools of professional investors, you will have difficulty in your later rounds. So if, in the morning itself, before the budget was getting read out, when markets were relatively perky, across the board, everything was perking up, anticipating a great budget, Adani Enterprises stock was like rollicking down. So the concerted effort to sell the stock down, and on one hand, they're lining up through their corporate relationships, investor relationships, more than enough subscriptions, still led to a situation which is best described perhaps from 2 lines from this Bollywood song. कश्तियां साहिल पे अक्सर डूबती है प्यार की, मंजिलें अपनी जगह, रास्ते अपनी जगह. So they brought it very close. They brought the horse to drinking water, but the horse bolted, right? The stock price collapsed like anything. And in that, if the investors would have been left embarrassed before their managements and investors. So that's the right thing to do for any corporate. And as rightly said by several people here, the scale and size of this balloon that Adani is so huge. The 20,000 rupees was a token gesture for, getting into the liquid space, injecting more of the stock. That was not necessary for, running their juggernaut. So a statement of intent, a statement of confidence appears punctured today. But one thing I want to remind all your viewers. As of now, Adani has lost 50% from the top. And so much hahakar is happening. Because over the years, this has come to become of such a size that it is noticeable by everyone. But right since this company came into the listed equity space, it has had more severe crashes many times. It's collapsed 90% from the peak and then became a 10-bagger. It collapsed 85%, and again it became a 20-bagger from those levels too. It went down by 65%, and it became a multi-bagger. So as of now, what seems like the good, the bad, and the ugly, from a leaf from that movie I'll borrow, a very good dialogue that describes many states of the market. The two kinds of men, one who carry the loaded gun, the other who are digging their gun. So it is not Gautam Adani's moment of looking like digging the gun for the first time. He's done it many times, and he comes back with bigger bazookas. So let's not write off this saga. His entire journey has been like this. He's a high-stakes roller. And as of now, it appears like he's looking for digging his gun. But he has done it many times and come back with much bigger guns. So I think in the configuration of the stock, because of the way it's valued, because of the way its cash flows are, because of the way it's geared, it's going to be one of the highest beta stocks, highest fundamentally risky companies, and without a commensurately large amount of risk, such kind of supernormal, abnormal, not even supernormal, abnormally supernormal returns that have happened cannot happen without these kind of risks. So what's going on is because of the proliferation of information so much, and that it suits some people to politicize this issue. But the same people politicizing this issue, sirs, it was during your years of reign that the stock went from 8.75 paise only all the way to 119 and came back to 14. And it happened twice in your era, and then again later from 250 to 150. So the only thing is, those who are making a political babble out of this, had an opposition that was far more gracious with a better agenda. So I will leave it at that.
Yes. All right, Sushil Keria, I let you speak without interruption, even though Ghanshyam, Tanveer, Savio would have wanted to get in the point. But I completely agree with you. This is not the only point for politics. But I want to go across to Tanveer. He's already raised, he's raising his hand as well. Tanveer, listen to the question before you start answering. Mr. Keria has explained how the fact is the situation has to be seen in a mature manner.
I know the answers.
Is someone gleeful here? Don't people really care for the country's economy? Because this is a political bias with which, Tanveer, you might be speaking your next words. Okay, Tanveer, over to you.
Trivialize such a serious issue by making statements like this. No, don't try to.
What statements are we making that is trivializing a breaking story that is broken right here on Republic TV, Tanveer?
I am responsible Indian and a matured politician. Let me speak, please. I am not the spokesperson of Adani as the other persons were speaking. Let me just tell you one thing. Adani has not taken any moral decision. It was a business decision. Rather than putting putting a black face in front of people of India, they have decided to really help their business partners. That's all. It is not a moral decision. First and foremost, there is a report which goes from a report, and the share drops out 30%. Imagine if at all there is a CBI inquiry which is done. Who was responsible? Who gave money from LIC? Who was responsible? Who gave so much of money from SBI? A proper, thorough investigation needs to be done, because it is your and my money. It is not about trivializing an issue. It is not about politics. Under which government regime Adani grew from 1 billion to 137 billion? From where did he grow? Why did he become?
Okay, Savio, this is a pointed question that is being put forward by Tanveer Ahmed as a responsible politician, like he's saying. Savio, I also want you to get in your views here.
Why are all the people who are supporters of BJP supporting Adani today? Why are they not standing for people of India?
Can I?
And the lawyer, the gentleman who's a lawyer, I thought he was a spokesperson of Adani. So passionately he's speaking pro Adani.
Okay, Tanveer, let's not make comments on our fellow panelists here. I want to get Savio also inside to give his insights in this issue. Okay. Let's not get this into a cantankerous fight. Savio, I also want you to respond and see how it has to go forward.
Corporate India.
Yes.
Tanvi, don't bring politics into the market. Don't bring politics into corporate India.
60 seconds to make a point.
We all know that, on whose payroll are you working?
Can I?
We know on whose payroll you are working, sir.
Okay, Tanvi, lots of allegations. Let's not get carried away. Like you rightly said, the one point I'm completely in agreement with you. It's the biggest business story that's broken right here on Republic TV. I think the fact is we have to stay with that and try and understand how the markets will be, how whether it's a moral move, strategic move, as you say. Let's look at that. But let's all the other panelists also speak. Savio, over to you.
Kavi, thank you for your time, and I certainly do appreciate the opinion that you have and the position that Adani has taken. I completely agree with you. It's not a moral position, it's a business position that he's taken. And it is necessary for a large business to take that kind of position. In the line of the fact that the government's involved with Adani, let's also be very clear that governments are here to facilitate all kinds of businesses. And if Adani is grown in this time of the BJP government, I think it's got a lot to do with the kind of work that Adani has been doing and the kind of work that Adani has delivered. And that is why companies grow. Companies have grown, whether in the UPA government as well. We've seen the Ambanis grow. We've also seen Adani grow in other states that are non-BJP states. So let's not get into the government aspect. But the most important thing for us as India, when a large business house that's got a huge market exposure is currently pulling off its FPO, it's definitely going to take a toll on the market. It's definitely going to take a toll on the investors that are invested into the stock market. But what they have done very prudently, and what Adani has done prudently, for whatever reasons that they've decided to take this stand, it also is protecting and insulating their investors at this point of time. So we have to look at it as a decision that's taken in a prudent manner. It's a decision that is taken to insulate their investors. It is a decision taking that will probably not lead to a bloodbath that would be seen on the stock market tomorrow. And therefore, it is important also for the government, and I agree, the government is watching it, the government is keeping a close eye, and the government will act when it's the right time to act in the situation when it goes southward. But right now, what is important for us to understand that the Adani has taken a very business decision. It's decided to pull back its FPO and has decided to ensure that the investors who have already invested into it get their money back. So in that context, I don't think you can fault Adani with that. I think Adani is giving the money back. Adani knows the risks that are involved in taking money and seeing a bloodbath that could happen at the stock market. So dragging the government into it in order to protect the investors, I agree with you, Tanveer, and I agree with the other gentleman, Ghanshyam, as well. But allow for the government to work when the situation arrives at that, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And yes, Mr. Kedia wants to make a point, after which I'll also introduce Niranjan's also joining us. Yes, Mr. Kedia.
Those who are trying to make a political score here, connecting Adani to Modi, let's go and ask them. Has Adani become so gifted at managing politicians that, even Netanyahu is kind of involved with him? Is this a businessman's skill or it is his skullduggery? So the wagging tongues, since they do not have any other organs under their skull, will only keep wagging their tongues. And, this kind of babble is very unfortunate. Big business and governments often work together. And Adani has had a trailblazing track record of working with governments of every flavor. How many Indian corporates have gone and acquired such a strategic asset in a very ferociously structured society as Israel? So give a man his due when they are truly due. And the desperado to just go and attack the Honorable Prime Minister is such that they will spare no chance to spin stories. If the stories had any credibility, why aren't they wagging tongues going and talking about Netanyahu and Adani? So everybody has a business around every
you don't
opportunity.
Need tongue, sir, you need soul. Sir, unfortunately, you have just tongue. You don't have a soul. You don't. You
Sir,
don't
your rhetoric will not make you sound sensible.
Political implications.
Your rhetoric will still prove you are nonsense.
Just get away. You have come here. You have come here as an industrialist. Speak like one. Don't speak like a politician. If at all you have a political stand, take one and say that you are a spokesperson of BJP. Then I will answer you in your
every
language.
Every
Don't
citizen
try to
is a
preach us.
politician.
Don't try to preach
Why are you
me.
having this sense of
Don't try
entitlement?
to preach me, please. Keep
Why
your
can't I
preaching to
preach you?
yourself.
Tanveer, don't do this. Tanveer, don't do this. Tanveer, it's not right. Tanveer, it's not right.
Don't try to
Tanveer, it's not right.
You are a spokesman.
No, Tanveer, it's not right. No, Tanveer, please don't do this. Tanveer, pull back. Tanveer, it's not required. Tanveer, it's not required. First of all, when you speak to Mr. Sushil Kedia, you try and understand where he's coming from. He's not made any political statement. He's given a very objective. Tanveer.
He's saying that we have only tongue and everything is
But
missing.
can you pull back and not attack Mr. Kedia?
No. Soul missing.
You can't attack Mr. Kedia. I'll tell you. He's been
Mr. Kedia, your soul
1 minute.
That's all.
Tanveer, just pull back.
Tanveer, this is
Tanveer,
not
pull back.
about getting political scores here. I understand, but Ghanshyam, I also want you to make a point. Ramakrishnan TS is also raising his finger. So Ghanshyam, first to you. Yes, go ahead.
Well, an ex-Modi minister called Adani Bhagwan, even an Eskimo in this winter knows the close relationship between Adani, BJP, Mr. Modi. And if you are still far away from news compared to that Eskimo, then just Google the news report, billionaire Modi ally on verge of taking over independent Indian news channel. This is how the world reported the NDTV takeover. If you want to still look at Nikkei Asia, you will read stories about the proximity. Please don't interrupt. Proximity between Mr. Modi and this is the major financial channels across the world. They know of the proximity, and you here come and preach that people have only tongues and no mind. This is shameful. Let's speak on the issue. If you think that the nation is a bunch of 5-year-old who does not understand the proximity between Mr. Modi, BJP, please allow me to complete. I did not interrupt you. If you think the nation is a bunch of 5-year-olds who don't understand the proximity between BJP, Adani, and the government, then you are mistaken. We are an intelligent set of people, and we can make out the reality. The reality is this is a serious threat to the economy of the country, and if the government continues to hide, it will appear complicit. The government has been hiding. Not a single person from the government, not a member of parliament, not a spokesperson has spoken for the Hindenburg report.
What Mr. Kedia is also trying to say here is he was close to every government. Niranjan, in fact, that is the point that even Ramakrishnan TS you want to make.
I just want to make one small point.
Yes.
Rhythm, I wanted to make one small point because, Mr. Kedia, first of all, I just want to give you a little bit of a background. Tanveer, take it easy. Tanveer, and, you can't attack anybody who's trying to put out an objective point of view there, right? Because you all are the same people who are saying people's money is involved, and Sushil Kedia is an expert. Sushil Kedia has been live since 8 a.m. No, but you can't attack everyone. Sushil Kedia is a very highly respected. You do some research on Sushil Kedia. No, you do some research, sir. You please do some. I request you all.
No, he cannot come here and say that people have done.
No, I'm requesting you all to please do some research on Mr. Kedia before you come on. No, he's not a political guy, and please don't attack him. He's not a political guy. He's not a political guy. He's a markets expert.
Basic respect.
So please don't show political arrogance. Please don't show political arrogance on the day. We're having a very decent debate. Can we have a decent debate? Can we have a decent debate?
But I can't pamper to anybody's ego.
Yeah.
I can't pamper to anybody's ego. Everybody respects people, and nobody takes care of another man's ego.
Yeah, Sushil Kedia is the founder of Kedianomics. He's one of the most respected market research voices. Every debate, he's been live with us since this morning, and we thought of getting him in so that he gives us a market overview, and he's speaking complete sense. You may not like it, but that doesn't mean you attack him. And it's 11:34 p.m. So cut everyone some slack, both Tanveer and Ghanshyam. It's not required. We're having an objective debate. Both of you are having your say. I just wanted to say, Rhythm, I have seen Gautam Adani sit with. Yeah, I've seen Gautam Adani sit next to NCP leaders and drive in a SUV. I have seen Gautam Adani shake hands with Mamata Banerjee. All political parties use industrialists when it's convenient to them, right? You want us to pull out those pictures and stop making such stupid.
Well, I mean,
please. I mean, you want to. You can do what you can say what you want in Parliament. You can debate it. You can say what you want. No, I'm saying you can say what you want. You can debate it in Parliament. You have every right.
paint the picture wrong.
No, you have every right, but you can't attack someone because he has a point of view.
Very close to Mr.
You
Modi,
can't.
and if you cannot speak it.
We'll wrap up.
Ramakrishnan TS also wants to make his point.
Okay, what we'll do at this point, we'll get a last voice rhythm. Rhythm we'll get a last point, and then we'll sort of wrap this up.
Yes, so let's get Ramakrishnan TS also to make his point.
Yeah. Fine. So if there is a prima facie evidence, I want to be, as I said in the beginning, I want to be very neutral and unbiased. So if there is a prima facie evidence against Adani Enterprises, let the government go ahead with that. So there is no second thought about it. But it is not fair on the part of, linking Adani, or for that matter, any businessman with a politician, because businessman always wanted to have a good relationship with all the politicians, irrespective of the shade. So, for example, Adani went to Rajasthan, and Rajasthan Chief Minister Gehlot has invited him for investment. Do you know how Mamata Banerjee did a mistake by driving Tata away from that, and for the last 10 years he is unable to develop the industries in West Bengal, and she is going to lose because of that. So what I'm saying is, when businessmen do mistakes, you punish them. You investigate them, you punish them. But before that, don't try to, jump the gun and say that this man is closer to that man is tomorrow. If Ghanshyam Tihari becomes the Prime Minister, Adani may become very close to Ghanshyam Tihari. So it is the same case with other guy who is coming. Of course, I don't know his name. I know him. So let us be more balanced. You ask for inquiry, that is fine, but don't try to link people with businessmen with politicians. That can
there is
boomerang.
public reporting on this linkage.
Okay, I have to end rhythm.
We have to end reporting.
Can we just get one?
Niranjan, before we go across to this, as we're wrapping up this debate, I think that Dr. Kumar wants to make a last point.
Mr. Kedia on what the markets can expect tomorrow. Rhythm, you want to take that question to Mr. Kedia on what the markets can expect tomorrow?
The markets, as it is, had been having that downward bias for a good time. And with all the good things that came into the budget, so it created a very sharp rally. And now, of course, this Adani thing will add to the kind of despondent selling that we saw after the budget, which surprised a lot of people. Usually, stock markets are an idea that if a market sells off despite good news, there's more worry. So first set of worries came tonight itself. Maybe the market had known that Adani thing has to be cancelled tonight. And even with this, I don't think the way charts are positioned, there will be more bad news around. So budget has come in the context of stock markets, ended up acting more like a non-event, even though it's a rock solid, very eloquent, very elegant budget. Numerically elegant and presentation-wise, a very eloquent one. Markets are still, I think, in their own catharsis. And Adani is just aiding this catharsis. It's not that it's only one Adani stock or group of stocks that have caused this correction in the markets. From 7,500 Nifty, we've gone all the way to 19,000, past the stratosphere, and one round of deep cleansing was, in any case, overdue. And part of that cleansing process, these are just acting as catalysts, but not the reason they trace.
Yes. Okay, as I thank all our guests for being with us, especially on this breaking news. Sushil Kedia being with us since 8 a.m. Several of our guests joining us since morning. I thank you for your time. And Dr. M. Satyakumar, your points, Ramakrishnan TS, what you said about the market is going to be looked at, whether it's strategic decision or whether we're going to see this to be a moral move, like Adani said. Ghanshyam Tihari, Tanveer Ahmed, Savio Rodriguez, thank you all for being with us as we wrap up this edition. The big thing that needs to be seen as this has been announced, like Niranjan really said, is what the markets are going to look at tomorrow. Thank you for being with us.
11,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
आपके कहने पर इस बार टाटा 1mg से दवाई ऑर्डर की थी। ऐप पे आज की ही डिलीवरी बता रहा है, लेकिन इतनी जल्दी तो होगा नहीं, क्यों?
अरे यार, अजीब टाइप के नेगेटिव इंसान हो। मैं लिख के देता हूँ, दवाइयों की डिलीवरी बिल्कुल टाइम पे हो जाएगी। लो जी, आ गया जी।
पटेल जी? हाँ जी, भरोसेमंद है जी।
टाटा 1mg आप भी डाउनलोड कर लें जी।
Everything we know, everything we love, might well be at risk. The time to act is now. We must all be champions. Champions for sustainability, for each other, for the earth.
I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakh in the new tax regime. Thus, persons in the new tax regime with income up to 7 lakhs will not have to pay any tax at all. The second proposal relates to middle-class individuals. I had introduced in the year 2020 the new personal income tax regime with 6 income slabs starting from 2.5 lakh. I propose to change the tax structure in this regime by reducing the number of slabs to 5 and increasing the tax exemption limit to 3 lakhs. The new tax rates are 0 to 3 lakh, nil. 3 to 6 lakhs, 5%. 6 to 9 lakhs, 10%. 9 to 12 lakh, 15%. 12 to 15 lakhs, 20%. And above 15 lakhs, 30%. This will provide major relief to all taxpayers in the new regime. An individual with an annual income of 9 lakhs will be required to pay only 45,000 rupees. This is only 5% of his or her income. It is a reduction of 25% on what he or she is required to pay now.
Viewers, we remain live and breaking with the confirmation letter of the group withdrawing it as of yesterday was fully subscribed, or so we had been told, and the letter is with us on the surface right now. I'd like to read it out loud. The board of the Adani Enterprises Limited has decided not to go ahead with the fully subscribed follow-on public offer or FPO. It says, given the unprecedented situation and the current market volatility, the company aims to protect the interest of its investing community by returning the FPO proceeds and withdraws the completed transaction. The letter goes on to quote Gautam Adani, the chairman of Adani Enterprises Limited, who says, the board takes this opportunity to thank all the investors for your support and commitment to our FPO. The subscription for the FPO closed successfully yesterday. Despite the volatility in the stock over the last week, your faith and belief in the company, its business and its management has been extremely reassuring and humbling. So on one hand, he acknowledges that the FPO was fully subscribed. He then says, however, today the market has been unprecedented and our stock price has fluctuated over the course of the day. Given these extraordinary circumstances, the company's board felt that going ahead with the issue will not be morally correct. He says that going ahead with the issue will not be morally correct. The interest of the investors is paramount, and hence to insulate them from any potential financial losses, the board has decided not to go ahead with the FPO. We are working with our book running lead managers to refund the proceeds received by us in escrow and also to release the amounts blocked in your bank accounts for subscription to this issue. Our balance sheet, he then adds, our balance sheet is very healthy with strong cash flows and secure assets, and we have an impeccable track record of servicing our debt. This decision will not have any impact on our existing operations and future plans. We will continue to focus on long-term value creation, and growth will be managed by internal accruals. Once the market stabilizes, we will review our capital market strategy. We are very confident that we will continue to get your support. Thank you for your trust in us. That is the letter by the Adani Group announcing that its 20,000 crore rupee follow-on public offer, which was held over 3 days, which was fully subscribed as of yesterday, is now being withdrawn. The group is going to return the proceeds of the FPO to the investors. It is going to return them in the various ways that are mentioned. As its reasoning, it cites how following the completion of the FPO, today the stock market scrip of Adani Group showed a lot of volatility, it says, and that is why, given the unprecedented situation, referring to the Hindenburg report, I presume it says that it is not morally correct for the Adani Group to continue with this FPO and hence to insulate the investors from any damaging effect of the volatility. It is choosing to return the proceeds of the FPO. So a nearly $3 billion FPO that was completed by the Adani Group will now no longer be active. It will be withdrawn and all the proceeds will be returned to the various investors. This is after a week plus a couple of days, almost 8 days of this row that has erupted over the New York-based financial investigation company called Hindenburg, which unleashed a report in which it asked about 88 questions to the Adani Group, making a range of allegations. In turn, the Adani Group replied with a 413-page statement in which it said that it had replied to all of the Hindenburg Group's questions. However, Hindenburg said that it was not satisfied with the response, and that is where we are effectively with regards to the Adani versus Hindenburg back and forth. However, the FPO was of prime importance. The FPO was cited as one of the reasons by the Adani Group why the Hindenburg report was published in the first place. And so now, after its completion, after its full subscription, after a slow start, the Adani Group has, for the reasons cited, chosen to withdraw its FPO. We'll go through the letter once again. There are two letters here. One is the media release by the group which cites Gautam Adani's explanation for why the FPO is being withdrawn, and another letter that we have accessed is from the Adani Group to the Bombay Stock Exchange and the National Stock Exchange announcing to them that it is withdrawing its FPO. Let's go through the letter once again and its various parts. It says, and it was just released a couple of minutes ago, the board of Adani Enterprises Limited has decided not to go ahead with the fully subscribed follow-on public offer or FPO. Given the unprecedented situation and the current market volatility, the company aims to protect the interest of its investing community by returning the FPO proceeds and withdraws the completed transaction. It then goes on to quote what Gautam Adani, the chairperson of Adani Enterprises Limited, has said, and he says, "The board takes this opportunity to thank all the investors for your support and commitment to our FPO. The subscription for the FPO closed successfully yesterday. Despite the volatility in the stock over the last week, your faith and belief in the company, its business and its management has been extremely reassuring and humbling. Thank you." However, today the market has seen unprecedented, or rather has been unprecedented, and our stock price has fluctuated over the course of the day. Given these extraordinary circumstances, the company's board felt that going ahead with the issue will not be morally correct. The interest of the investors is paramount, and hence to insulate them from any potential financial losses, the board has decided not to go ahead with the FPO. So those are the two parts of his statement, but he doesn't end there. He says, "We are working with our book running lead managers to refund the proceeds received by us in escrow and also to release the amounts blocked by your bank accounts for subscription to this issue." And then finally he gives a defense of his group's finances, and he says, "Our balance sheet is very healthy with strong cash flows and secure assets, and we have an impeccable track record of servicing our debt. This decision will not have any impact on our existing operations and future plans. We will continue to focus on long-term value creation, and growth will be managed by internal accruals. Once the market stabilizes, we will review our capital market strategy. We are very confident that we will continue to get your support. Thank you for your trust in us." So once again reiterating, the Adani Group has decided to withdraw its FPO despite it being fully subscribed. It will return all the funds collected as part of the FPO, all the investments to the investors. We have also joining us our Executive Editor, Law and Governance, Ridham Anand Bharadwaj. And Ridham, what is your reading of the statement by the Adani Group? The FPO was fully subscribed, but they are withdrawing it.
Yeah, as we are looking at the statement, I think the one thing that one needs to see right now is, even as Gautam Adani's statement comes out, the glee of some people, especially those who understand nothing about the markets, that the cancellation of the FPO has to be seen to be believed. In fact, they not only don't care less for the country's economy because of their political bias, but they also have no concern for ordinary shareholders. I want to also go across to our guests who are joining us at 11 o'clock with Ankit and me. We have Sushil Kedia, founder of CEO Kerianomics, a key financial market research firm, joining us. Dr. M. Satyakumar, lawyer and economist joining us live from Chennai. Ramakrishnan TS, public finance expert, live from Chennai. Ghanshyam Tiwari, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, also live from Delhi. And Tanveer Ahmed, national spokesperson of the JDS. If we actually go and look at this politically, Ghanshyam, I want to ask you this question before I go across to get a political, analytical answer on this. Don't you think it's a time to keep politics aside and to understand that morally, the kind of responsibility that is needed for the investors is being followed through?
Well, Adani Group says Adani is India in its response, right? And I don't think anyone here or any one of your viewers will believe that. It is time that our institutions rise to their responsibilities. Thankfully, Parliament is in motion, and we will see that the Parliament has an opportunity to rise to this responsibility. Definitely, due to strategic interest, Adani Group is too big to fail. So one can easily put politics aside to make sure that the people who have innocently placed their trust and not knowing the backdrop of the scandalous situation that exists, their interests are protected, interests of investors are protected, interests of our institutions, who, whether because of government or in spite of government, we don't know. A probe will tell, but this thing is going to spiral into a full-fledged probe into how this group has been able to secure so much from LIC, from SBI, from our domestic institutions, and how one report from originating from outside India can set the house on fire.
Okay, I get the point that you're trying to make, but I
also want to go across to really get an understanding of whether it's the interests of the investors that is being kept at the forefront. Sushil Kedia, who's joining us here. Sushil, how are you looking at this? Because we also need to see that there is also a special mention made of the investors. The board has decided, therefore, not to proceed with the FPO.
See, if the stock price collapses so much right on the FPO closure day, and of a substantial size and very quality, deep-pocketed investors, it's not like that you do a fly-by-night operation, collect what is the cash and leave everybody high and dry. Seeking investments is an ongoing relationship with worthy deep pockets. So if markets have been more than good and bad, actually very ugly for Adani stocks, and on the same day that anybody comes to write you a check and such a heavy haircut comes, so of course, those people are going to pick up the phone and say, hey, what's been done to us? So if you want to remain in the game and be responsible, be credible, I think for whatever is the mercilessness happening in the markets, which is another part of the conversation, this withdrawal of the FPO by the Adani Business Group is the right, credible thing any responsible businessman will do.
Yes.
I also tend to agree with the fact that this has to be seen with a bit more responsibility. I want to go across to get the views of Satyakumar, lawyer and economist, who's also joining us here. Mr. Satyakumar, the one question is, the company is now working with the book-running lead managers to refund the proceeds that received by its escrow and to also release the amounts blocked into investors' bank accounts for subscription to this issue. He says we will refund the proceeds. How are you looking at this move?
Definitely, the group has taken a responsible step in refunding the investors. And second thing, it has also re-established the credibility among the investors. Of course, this impact is because of the report that we have received from the western part of the world. And anybody can be affected by this. We have to understand it's just not Adani. In future, any group can be affected by this kind of a report that can come from any part of the world. So we need to see whether the group is acting responsibly. The group is acting responsibly. That also shows that they are not in cash stress. And the group chairman's statement saying that the balance sheet is healthy and we can manage this situation with an internal accrual. These are all accounting knowledge, accounting language. We have to understand this. I quote the group chairman's point here. Our balance sheet is very healthy with a strong cash flow. That means there is no stress or cash stress and secure assets, and we have an impeccable track record of servicing our debt. So that means he's saying that there won't be any problem with respect to servicing the debt. So he is also assuring that people who have provided the debt to the company, this ratio will not have any impact on our existing operation. And he says the group remains on the long-term value creation. And second important thing he mentions here is the internal accruals can be used for managing the situation. And he also states very clearly that he will relook at the review the capital market strategy in the days to come. So that clearly shows that the group is acting responsibly by calling off the FPO and acting, working with the lead book runners to refund the money as per law. Shows that the group is not violating any regulation of the SEBI or any regulation of the Companies Act. So we have to understand anybody in this position can be affected by any report that can come from any part of the world. The question here is whether the calling off of FPO and its impact can be managed. So here the group chairman has assured it, and I'm sure that he will be doing it with all the possible strategies.
Yes, and I think this is a time to speak responsibly, just like Dr. M. Satyakumar has, because this is the time to understand what will happen. I also want to go across to Ramakrishnan TS, a public finance expert, before I come back.
One more point which I also want to make. The people who are trying to align the group with the government as to act responsibly, because any statement they make, it can have an impact on the market. 1, 2, the government can only respond to a regulatory action. They are not here to respond to every reaction of the market. If they're going to react for every reaction of the market, they cannot make a budget. Today, when the budget was brought, the market was up. The market can go down. It depends upon the volatility of the market. Tanvi should understand. Don't try to align the government with the group. If you're going to do this, very rarely it's going to be a problem for the corporate India. Why people are not politicians? Why you people are not acting responsibly? That's my question. Well, that report has an impact on a corporate here in India, and the corporate is acting responsibly in calling off the FPO. Why is there a question of alignment of the government with the group? It can happen even to any company. It can happen to any infrastructure company in the country. So please try to avoid this kind of alignment of the group with the government. And for information, Tanvi, go to Gujarat and check all the infrastructure projects. Most of the infrastructure projects are managed by L&T, Larsen & Toubro. It's a professionally managed company. How can you align the corporate India with the government's? How can you align the government and the corporate? So please understand, it can happen to any corporate. The question here is, please understand, the question here is whether the group is acting responsibly. The Adani group is acting responsibly by calling off FPO, and they are assured to pay back. And they are also saying that the balance sheet is healthy. And they are also assuring that the debts will be serviced. They are also saying they can manage the situation and accruals. They are also saying that the long-term creation is there.
We cannot have so much a monologue.
Tanvi,
okay, it's not a moment.
you seem to be.
I quite agree with the responsible stance by
Dr. M. Satyakumar. But before I come across to Tanveer and Ghanshyam and the politicization of this issue, I also want to get in public financial expert Ramakrishnan TS.